Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have a liftoff.
Yes, once again, we have liftoff. I want to thank you for listening to another episode of the Big Truth Podcast, and I'm stoked to be sitting here with my boy Josh Garcia. You may know him from Revival Motoring, either the magazine or the podcast, and he's also a local videographer and photographer. He's been on the automotive photography scene here for years, as long as decades.
10 years now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, no, 11 years.
Yeah.
I forget what year we're in.
Well, 2020, pretty easy. This is like a cool one to be in because everything's like in increments. So like it's a lot easier to count.
Yeah. I just remember, political troubles at first, and then there was like, a potential World War III, and then that went into Corona, and then there was murder hornets, and now, here we are.
And now there's riots.
Yeah.
Injustifiable riots. I'm not making any political commentary. But don't forget, there's also a few other things that happened this year that kind of that are very bizarre things that kind of got thrown under the rug a little bit because we've been so obsessed with Corona and the rioting and that stuff. But this year also, and I know, for what it's worth, I'm not putting any spin on it, but the Pentagon officially acknowledged the existence of UFOs. That was not even a story for a day.
Glossed over.
It
was a Friday at 5:30. Let's put this out there.
Yeah.
And it was forgotten by 8:30.
And I know the footage that was in question's been around for a long time, but it was by military pilots.
Yep.
And the fact that the Pentagon has acknowledged it and publicly acknowledged it means a lot more than we probably know.
Yeah. Just the fact that they didn't put a spin on it, and oh no, that was a training mission.
Yeah,
it was. Yeah, we don't know what the fuck this is. Yeah. Good luck to you all.
Good luck to you. And the pilots themselves said it's something definitely not technology that any country would possess. So, do with that what you will.
Yeah.
Now, on top of that, this SpaceX, the first private company launched into space successfully. So that's something, there's nothing crazy behind that, but it's just kind of awesome news. And it's news that has potential implications for the world going forward now that space is a private enterprise and not just the realm of governments.
Right. Dare I say things might get done.
Yeah. It would get done or get crazy quick, like when people start claiming shit out there.
Right.
But other than that, this other thing that happened that's fucking crazy is that, and this is in like Forbes and New York Times and like credible news sources. This isn't like on conspiracy websites. In the last couple weeks, scientists in Antarctica confirmed that there's evidence of parallel universes in the multi-universe theory, and that there's a parallel universe to ours that works backwards. So it's like our universe flipped over, running backwards.
Go in the opposite direction.
So to me, that's implications for like, all right, we got to start like time travel or some crazy shit like that.
Right. Other crazier shit's possible.
Yeah. So, in Antarctica has always been kind of a weird place where there's areas of Antarctica that like Google Maps and stuff have censored, so you can't even look at it. And I know there's like sources of other like kind of weird things out there. Like there's like a sound that is like one of the loudest recorded sounds and no one can identify what it is coming from under the ocean out there.
Yeah.
If you get really into like conspiracy stuff, like the whole like quote unquote like Nazi bases in World War II, Nazi stuff from World War II. There's all kinds of crazy stuff going on in Antarctica, and there's a lot of research going on out there. But the fact that I don't know the whole Antarctica connection, but there's something there where they're like, yeah, we can say now that there are parallel universes. So this is all crazy news, but very important.
It's stuff that, as I was a kid, would never thought would be possible. Yet here we are. It's reality.
And we're just halfway through fucking 2020 right now.
Seriously.
It's
like literally 6 months in.
Yeah. What the hell's coming next? I mean, it's crazy, And, half of us are still on Corona lockdown.
Yeah.
Those that are, evidently, once you go out and riot, that there's no need for for social distancing anymore, but businesses still have to stay closed.
Yeah, and in the WHO and the CDC starts, dare I say, backtracking on some of the stuff that they put out previously.
Yeah, and I've seen two videos, one from both with Fauci, and one saying, wearing masks is just like a false comfort, false sense of security. It really doesn't stop anything. It just keeps you from maybe spreading it a little bit. I guess if you have a speech impediment, like a Daffy Duck speech impediment, and you're spitting everywhere, maybe it helps. But then there's another one like, you got to wear your mask all the time.
Yeah,
and it's like, all right, what is it? And I tell people all the time, I worked for WHO and I worked for CDC, and I know what a bureaucratic mess both of those organizations are. And enough said. But I don't have magnanimous faith in either of them really, and I know they do some good, and I'm not discounting the good that they do, but I also know that they operate almost like little governments, and they have their issues. Anytime you have an organization that big, and there's bureaucratic issues that get involved in things, and
there may be an agenda to a certain extent that needs to be put out there,
and I have no idea what the agenda is. What I mean, and so I don't even postulate.
It's just. We've there's something that happened, obviously, and we've all been living it. And I don't know, maybe perhaps in another parallel universe.
Yeah.
It's a bit different.
What's happening over there? Yeah. So, and the thing is it's just that when government gets involved in this stuff, whether it's well-meaning or not, you see what kind of bureaucratic nonsense there is, because if this was a good dry run, because and I'm not discounting anyone that's been affected by COVID, because certainly people have died from it, and certainly people have gotten really sick from it, and certainly it has affected people and families and friends, and I am not discounting that, because everyone wants to say you are right away, but when you look at the statistics of it, that is such a minuscule part of the population.
Right.
So I'm not discounting anyone's pain or death or anything that's happened from it. But you got to understand, and I feel like, and I feel like even if it did affect me more personally, I think I would try and hold this perspective. Like the rest of the world, it's not justified at this point to shut down the rest of the world, especially in idiotic, like we're in the Northeast where the states are sizes of counties in other states. So my tattoo shop is still shut down. I'm literally 7 minutes from Providence, Rhode Island. Rhode Island is open. So what does that mean? I mean, we talked about this earlier, like people, and not just me, but all the restaurants are still shut down.
Yeah.
All the stores are still shut down, except major corporate stores like Walmart and Target and Home Depot and Lowe's. But the mom and pop hardware store is shut down, and the mom and pop restaurant is shut down, and or doing takeout only or whatever.
It's truly affected us, revival stuff. It's affected it big time, and I'm sure you see it here.
Yeah,
it just,
everywhere. But it's like, it's so dumb. Like if you really thought this was the crazy virus that it was, you wouldn't let people. Like, so literally, Massachusetts is still on shutdown, but Rhode Island's open. They're on the border of each other. Like, I'm 7 minutes from it, but people aren't going to come. My shop's closed, so I'm not going to do tattoo removal, or Ryan and Dan can't do tattoos, but someone can drive 7 minutes. They can go to a bar, sit down, have a beer, get a tattoo, get dinner, and then come back into Massachusetts. So it's not stopping anything.
And if the virus was that bad, it's not going to stop itself at the border.
Yeah. It's not going to say, oh, well, 100%.
And like you said, I'm not discrediting that it was, affecting people. Originally they thought it had a mortality rate of much higher.
Yeah.
And now,
Then 0.02.
after they start to understand it more, suddenly it just, they reacted. Maybe they reacted as they should, right? They thought it was going to be this bad, but it wasn't that bad. So can we just kind of get back to just surviving?
Yeah, exactly. Just escalate the reopenings, And the thing is I don't know how to say that. I mean, we've talked about this a lot in the podcast. If you watch the news, you're going to be mortified about it.
Oh my God. It's complete. I tell my wife and early on with this whole thing, and even myself, like when it was first coming about, like, holy shit, kids aren't in school. My work is basically shutting down and we're sending everybody home. And like, what the hell is happening?
Yeah.
Not knowing, obviously, how things are going to develop. I just stopped probably 2 weeks into everything. I just stopped because I'm like, I need to focus on my stuff. And when pertinent information comes out that I need to adhere to, sure, I will check up on that. But I'm not checking Twitter. I'm not checking the news because it's going to be death, destruction. The world is flat and it's ending, for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah. And it's just, media is constantly pushing an agenda. And, sometimes it's in line with government agendas. Sometimes it's not. It's just the media needs to sell you on things to keep it going.
And it depends what channel you're watching.
Yeah. Yeah. You get two different stories. You get both menacing stories, but one of them is going to say it's the Democrats' fault and one's going to say it's the Republicans' fault. And that's all it is.
Yeah. It's the same street, just two different directions.
Yeah, exactly. And we need to, and I've said this on the podcast before, like, what America is lacking more than anything is an independent news source that just reports the fucking news and doesn't put a party spin or a corporate spin on it. Because and you can trace this. Like, you can look at it. Like, there's like 2 or 3 major corporations that own 90% of like major news outlets.
Yep.
And they're, and those corporations are, very much in bed with one party or another. And so, of course, you're going to get, you're not going to get balanced, factual, just non-partisan news anymore. You're just going to get
fit the narrative, narrative of the story they want to sell you to scare you, I think, in a lot of cases. Not
because fear works and it keeps people watching and keeps people gripped. Break the fuck out of it. If you really look at your daily life, other than, being out of work or whatever, like, for most people, shit is fine. And again, not discounting the very small minority of people who have been affected by it.
Yeah.
I'm not discounting your pain or, or suffering
or anything like that. It's not saying that it's not true. It's
just that it's on such a smaller scale than they thought it would be. So at first, maybe it was good to be very proactive in all this stuff. But now it just seems very crazy. Like, just
right. In the, to kind of back that, I haven't seen anything or heard any updates of anybody, by our government regarding it. Obviously they're entwined with everything else that's happening.
Yeah.
But there's been no updates like from many doctors that we see every day.
Well, the thing is, the Surgeon General said the mask thing is stupid.
Yeah.
He didn't say it like that. And he's going against other things. Like, there's no agreement or consensus on anything.
That was another reasoning of why I just stopped paying attention because what's the truth?
No one knows.
Nobody had a clue.
No one knows.
Or what or why or if it was really this bad or it wasn't.
Yeah.
Everything was conflicting no matter what.
And on top of it, everyone's talking about statistics. I was in a world of research for a lot of years. Statistics can be not manipulated, but statistics can be used to fit a narrative.
They can show the story.
They can show the story you want to say.
Yeah.
So what people don't understand is that statistics can also be padded. So during this, I've driven by some hospitals that the parking lot is fucking empty. But now, and this is confirmed by someone I know who was a hospital manager. Hospitals will get, if someone comes in and they have COVID, the hospital gets like $8,000 from the government or a certain amount of money. If they put that motherfucker on a respirator, they get even more money. And if someone dies in that hospital with COVID, they get even more money. So if regular people aren't going into the hospital because they're scared and everyone's staying home and quarantined and people aren't working, so people aren't getting hurt as much and shit isn't just popping as much as it usually is, no one's going to the hospital, of course, and there's no real test for COVID, at the time.
Right.
So of course, you come in with a sniffle, you got COVID. All right, because now we just got $8,000 from the government.
Yeah.
And it's helping us stay in business.
And again, just from a business perspective, of course they're going to.
Yeah.
What? You mean if I check this box, we recoup that much and nobody's going to question it?
Yeah, and right now we don't got our normal volume because people aren't out and about, so people aren't getting hurt as much.
No people coming in for injuries. No elective surgeries.
Dude, one of my best friends in the world, Ryan. You know Ryan.
Yeah.
He has to get dialysis, and he has a port going directly into his heart, and that's only supposed to be there for a certain amount of time, and then they have to move it because they don't want it going directly into your heart forever.
Yeah.
And he was supposed to get it moved down here, like somewhere in his somewhere in his core.
Yep.
And then he could get home dialysis and stuff like once it moves there. He was supposed to get that surgery, and then all this shit popped off, and they keep delaying it. And so it's like, that's an elective surgery, but it's also kind of like a serious surgery. And it, like, you know what I mean?
Right. It's not needed. It's not like a nose job.
But yeah, exactly. But he still can't get that until all this shit washes over. And I'm sure there's a lot of other people who are being affected in that similar type of way, where there's surgeries that are not cosmetic, but don't fall under critical,
right,
but still would, would very much help that person, and they're not getting that care because they're not doing that right now. But, and then on top of that, I've talked to morticians, and they say, if someone dies and they have COVID in their system and they had a heart attack, we still have to label it a COVID death. So we don't know what the real statistics are, is all I'm saying.
Right.
And you gotta, and I'm not being a conspiracy. This is human nature shit and organizational nature shit. Just like you said, hospital has to stay in business. They're trying to survive. If someone comes in and they don't have their normal volume, they're going to say it just so they can get the money, so they can keep the doors open and keep everyone employed and whatever it is.
They're losing it on another aspect of it. Of course. It's just survival, no matter what. That's
why they can't get some of these motherfuckers to go back to work, because they're making more in unemployment. Right. And it's like, why would I go back to the fucking making half of it, or but whatever. That's a whole other story.
Yeah.
But we came out of the gate all serious, right running. But
we've been fucking locked in a house for 3 months.
Yeah. And dude, I'm just so stoked, like, because I've a lot of the episodes lately I've been doing over the phone, and the difference between doing someone over the phone and sitting across from somebody.
It's great because there's certain guests it just doesn't pan out, and you want to talk to them anyway.
Yeah.
But there's a huge difference between a person-to-person conversation.
Sure.
It's just so much easier.
And especially since I'm not doing video yet, so I'm not seeing. I'm sure I'm sure over the phone is kind of the bottom. And then maybe like doing something through Skype or Zoom or something is a little better because you at least see the person.
Yep.
But there's nothing. But it to me, it's so much better just sitting across from someone, and it feels more organic. I don't know.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. And that's something we pushed with our show. We were, no matter what, we were going to stick to recording episodes in person, even if it was just myself and my co-host. It was going to happen,
Well, that's the beauty of having co-hosts.
Until we're locked up and can't do it. You know what I mean? That was the plan.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, this whole ordeal, again, we don't want to discount it, but it's truly affected the entire world in many different ways.
Sure. And I even wrote Baker today, and I'm like, look, dude, like, you're not making any sense. Like, you're dragging your ass on opening Massachusetts businesses when states around us are open and people can just go there, and Walmart and fucking every place else that's a big company is open.
Right.
And like I've said before, like and I saw someone post, it's just the funniest thing is like, you're lucky if you can get a motherfucker to wear pants in Walmart, never mind a mask, right? Everyone's gone to people at Walmart and seen that website or the Instagram page or whatever, and stop being ridiculous. And at the end of the day, and this is like, it's not always a popular viewpoint, but the government they're not our rulers. They're our representatives, in many cases elected representatives. Okay, I think everyone went along with it at first because it's for the good of everyone. We didn't know how bad it was. We didn't know how serious it was. When we see it's very serious for those that are affected by it. And like I said, I'm not discounting it, but the numbers that are very affected by it are very little compared to the rest of the population in general.
And whether it be a virus or anything else, to blindly follow, typically, it's not my style.
No. And on top of it, the other thing is, the government's not my parents. I'm done. I'm not grounded anymore.
Yeah.
Leave me the fuck alone.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like you should never depend on the government for your life. You know what I mean? Like you know, and you should never give them that power. Like we gave it willingly because to go along with like, yeah, this is going to be something fucked up. Let's try and for the common good. Right. Let's do this.
Yeah. There was, I don't want to say sold because it's not the right term, but we were sold a bill of goods, if you will.
Yeah.
And, oh shit. All right. If you don't do this, here's the outcome.
Yeah.
Fuck. All right. I get it. We'll do our best to do that.
Yeah.
And we did. And you know,
it's not,
now just other stuff's coming out.
You know, and when I started tuning, you know, the news and all that stuff off, and I was like, hey, guess what, dude? Life is pretty much like it was.
Yeah.
Like it's not, you know, again, not discounting for the people that did get affected by it, but and you know, so the thing is you can't let the government treat you like they're your parents and then tell you it should be your choice if you want to open up. And then, but with that comes personal responsibility and accountability. You made that choice.
Yeah.
Now, if you do get sick, you made the choice. You got to deal with it. Like, you know what I mean? And I'm fine with that. Yeah. I'm fine with that. Those repercussions, you know, and you know, but it should be your choice. Like the government, like right now, like even like there's an organization that my businesses are part of, and it's kind of not a lobby, but an organization that represents small and independent businesses. Now, there's a real problem with the term small business.
Oh, because it can be used extremely loosely.
Small business means 500 or less employees. If you got 500 fucking employees, to me, that's not a small business.
Small, right?
To me, I think of like 1 to 10 employees as small. You know, maybe 20. You know what I mean? Mom and pop shop. Like, so you know, that's why when all this kind of funding and shit that came out to help people or small businesses, it got gobbled up by all these companies that profit in the millions because it's like they're still a small business. You know what I mean?
They're going to take advantage of it.
They're going to take advantage of it. And I'm not faulting them. You know what I mean? Right. Some of them did end up like almost getting like shamed into giving it back. Like,
I was going to say they were chastised to return it in some cases. Yeah, like
Ruth's Chris Steakhouse got 20 million and shit. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. But, you know, but the problem is they got more of padding to kind of rely on to sustain on. Like, you know, a lot of people I know that are in business, they don't have like 3, 4, 5 months of income saved just to do, you know, just to kind of, okay, I can float my business without making a dime for the next 5 months. Not a lot of people have that.
And yeah, that takes a very particular person and management team, if you will, to prepare for, oh yeah, no, we're going to do this so we're good for a year. Like, not many people do that.
No.
It's just not many people have the ability or are fortunate enough to do that.
Yeah.
And then in most cases, like restaurants, small shops, coffee shop, that sort of shit. Yeah, they're operating like they need to maintain, I don't know, 80% just to survive.
Yeah.
And they're happy with that, and that's fine. But being so limited, there's it sucks. We're gonna lose some places we love, and there's just
there's nothing you can do. The music venues are going to be gone. There's going to be restaurants gone. There's going to be mom and pop hardware stores that are gone.
Bands in particular.
Oh yeah, dude. I have so many musicians on this. Everyone's like trying to do crazy. They're doing like Facebook Live shit or like
just different shit,
selling merch. And, you know, like I said, and there's even like bars and like certain venues and things that are doing things like selling T-shirts now and stuff. Like, you know, and it's like,
you want to, we don't want to lose anything, whether it be a person or stuff that many people love. And it sucks to have to try to, you know, pick if we have to.
No, and absolutely. But I mean, when it comes down to it, there's a lot of people that are drinking the government Kool-Aid right now. And I'm like, you know, get that shit out of your system. Especially, and I come down on this like almost every episode, these punk rock motherfuckers that are like party pundits for either the Democratic or the Republican Party. Like, fucking think critical, think for yourself. Whatever happened to like fuck the system and, you know, things like that. Like, you know, and critical thinking. Like, you know, I'm an avid critic of both sides of that coin, and you know, sometimes, you know, when I come out against something that's more Republican, you know, I'll see all the Democratic leaning people come, you know, whatever. And you come out on the other side and they're like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? And it's like, hey dude, like I'm registered independent and I'm not drinking either Kool-Aid because I don't really feel like any party represents us anymore. Any of the two main political parties, for whatever it's worth. But there's some third parties that are kind of worth investigating and thinking about, but that's a whole other fucking podcast. Let's talk about shit. So for those that don't know, and I meant to say this right in the intro, like Josh is one of the people that's really helped me out so much with getting my podcast going. I picked his brain for fucking months, if not years, about like equipment and stuff, because I didn't want to come out of the gate sounding like, I'm not dissing anybody, but one of the things I hate most is when I listen to a podcast, and especially when there's a guest that I really, really want to hear, and you turn the podcast on and it sounds like it was recording in a fucking wind tunnel in a pizza shop or some shit, and all you hear, you can't hear anything. I feel it's very disrespectful to the guest. It's disrespectful to your product and to you as a host. Like, you got to take some pride and make shit sound correct. And luckily in the day and age we live in now, it's not that hard. But you got to kind of know what's up. And so, again, I can't even begin to thank you for helping me get started and even telling me about like the hosting companies and your experience with shit. Like you were some year or two ahead of me in this. So like I got to learn from the benefit of your research and stuff. And again, just like a real heartfelt thanks for helping me get started with this. You and Ian McFarland are the ones that really got me going with this. He was the one that put the idea in my head and then it planted the seed, and you were the one that helped me to water it to get it to grow. And so again, no joke, that fucking thanks, man. You know what
Truly,
I mean?
man, that's awesome. I was stoked because for those who don't know, Revival Motoring is a podcast or a magazine. We're basically a media outlet for automotive related content.
Yeah.
And early on, or motoring related content. Early on, pretty much as I was kind of developing the idea that I wanted to make a magazine, you were, if not the first, the second person I thought of, like, that is somebody that I want to cover, because of everything you've done. And that's what led me to get in touch with you, shoot an article for the magazine to kind of tell the Chopperhead story and have you on, the podcast to talk about it. So shortly after that is when we started talking about it, and I was psyched. Like, yes, you need to do that. You need to make this happen. So no, I'm glad I could play a small little role in making that happen.
And definitely you were the one that helped me make it really go, because there's a whole world of equipment and stuff out there, and you can go online and get caught up for hours, like, which mic, blah, 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 this and that. And I know you did. And so what I'm saying is I benefited off that work you put in, because I'm like, which ones did you find that work good? And you're like, nah, definitely get this one or do this one. And
just try to, streamline it and make it as affordable as possible. But like you said, also produce the best quality that you can to a certain extent. Like,
none of us have Rogan's set up.
Right, right. It's just, we're not going to go out and buy the craziest equipment. Yeah. But if you can get it 85% of that, sure, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And afford it and make it happen, yeah, do it.
And so, if you're not familiar, you should definitely check out Revival Motoring, because like it's one of the coolest fucking concepts out there. Like, and when you pitched it to me and told me what you were doing, I was like, I don't think anybody else is fucking doing that, and it's so cool. And like Josh said, but you said it kind of quick, but he does a magazine, but also a podcast that accompanies the magazine. So like when you see a feature in a magazine, you're capturing kind of some of the main elements, and you got a few pages with some text from an interview. But the podcast you do with some of the people that you feature in the magazine really fleshes it out and lets them kind of, like a long form conversation, lets you flesh things out way more. So it gives you so much more context and kind of, kind of insight into the world that person's involved in into their business, what they're thinking about, and why they're building these cars or these bikes, or like what their process is. And so you can explore so much more, get way more in depth, and get so much more contextual information from it. So it's really cool, like, and I advise everyone, go fucking check it out, man. You know what I mean? And support. But yeah, so
it works. They go hand in hand. Yeah. And the reason it kind of came to be was basically because the magazine was first. That was first priority. Like, I have a lust for print media, especially nowadays. It's everything's consumed on phones and YouTube and digitally. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just it doesn't have that same fit and form factors opening a print magazine in your hand and seeing your friends or your project or somebody you know in hand that you paid for the magazine, either received it or in the mail or went to the news shop to get it. There is always something to that. It made it, I don't know, it was just much more special. So with a lot of magazines dying, I'm like, fuck it. Probably not a good idea. I'm not going to, turn this into Bill Gates by any means, but it's still something. Think of the same idea as like vintage records, record stores. There's still people who shoot film. There's still those people who like that sort of thing. And I kind of banked on that being a thing.
Yeah.
And now with that said, okay, I want to make this magazine. Well, if I'm going to make the magazine, I want to talk to people and I'm going to have to interview them. If I'm going to interview them, I might as well use a small little recorder and just have it so I don't have to sit there writing, because I didn't want to write or type and be in conversation with somebody, because I didn't want to take away from the conversation. So I'm going to record it. Well, fuck, if I record it, podcasts are a thing. So why not just make that into a podcast? And that's what I did. And quickly on, I think I got the first 4 articles of the magazine done and recorded, and just, thought, all right, well, if this is going to actually be a real thing, I'm going to need consistency. And there's no way I'm going to be able to shoot, interview, 4+ people like a month to keep that week to week thing going. So like by the 4th interview I did, matter of fact, 4th episode of the podcast, I decided, all right, I need co-host, because if we're going to stay relevant, we can cover some of this other stuff. So I added 2 co-hosts, and let's see, today's Monday. In 2 days, we're going to record our 100th episode.
Fuck yeah, man. Well, congratulations. That's a big accomplishment, especially in this world where there's so much content out there. To get to 100 episodes shows a lot of how serious you take it, because it is a sacrifice to do this stuff. And there's so much work behind the scenes that people don't see or don't know to even appreciate that. I can't, 100 episodes, that's a big chunk of content that you put out there. You know what I mean?
It's crazy to think and look at that and be like, oh shit, we're at 100. This is like, we're about 2 years in. We hit that 100 mark, and I just have to, there's a lot of people I have to thank. Just granted, yeah, we're celebrating 100, hooray! But there's a lot of people I have to thank because of that, and
sure.
Obviously my family, my wife, because I'm gone every Wednesday. I still have a full-time job, so I leave the house by 7:30, and I don't get back till at least 10. And then from there, I spend another hour or so getting the podcast ready, done, and ready to release the next day. And then obviously my 2 co-hosts, Chuck and Corey, because they were on by like the 5th and 6th episode, something like that. And they've been here ever since. And same with their families and girlfriends and things like that. Like it's a commitment. Every Wednesday, they know the boys are going to record the podcast. Yeah. And we're just thankful for all the support we get and friends that we've met along the way. And, we're going to continue it. It's very rewarding to, sit down with people like yourself, and just continue to see the support. Even 100 episodes in, it's like, it's still there. And it's fun. It's fun. It's just become a huge part of our lives.
And like something you said, has resonated, and it's something I've talked about, not necessarily with print media before, but that's another thing that shows your dedication and your more artistic slant on it. Like, you went into this knowing that print media was dying. And, in a certain extent, there's always going to be room for like even though music is going more digital and like magazines are going more digital, there's always going to be the people, like they call it almost like boutique type stuff, like collector type stuff, like, vinyl's still big, you know what I mean? And certain types of magazines are still big, like the kind of cheesy, like monthly, kind of thrown together magazines you could get in the 70s, 80s, 90s. Can't do that anymore. Like, magazines now that survive look like fucking beautiful pieces of art.
Each one, and that's kind of the approach that we take, is just like, we want to make this thing as the best we can.
Yeah.
From the paper, like, to the way it opens. Like, I lost sleep over how my magazine was opening. Like the first 2 or 3, I think 2 issues. I was just like, this doesn't open right. I want this paperweight, but I can't live with this. What am I going to do? Like, freaking out. And then finally kind of made the adjustment so it properly opened. Because obviously a magazine, you want the thing to spread out. But at the same time, I wanted
you don't want to break the spine
paper, it had this look and feel to it. But yeah, it's kind of all that stuff. Make it, put the effort in to make it as good as we possibly can. And that's from the podcast, the magazine, to videos that we're doing now, like everything. Just if you're going to do it, just go to as much as you can possibly do.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, and it shows, like, because you put out quality stuff, quality content, like whether it's the magazine or the podcast, which I listen to. I have not seen the videos because we were talking earlier, when I listen to podcasts, it's mostly when I'm in the truck or something and I'm commuting around. The shop's just too loud to listen to a podcast. Like, I'm cutting and grinding or whatever.
I was going to say, as we were talking, and kind of goes hand in hand, when you're listening to a podcast like this, and most of the time you're driving, you just want to feel part of the conversation. You don't want to work to have to listen to the conversation. So that, you don't want it to take away from the audio or all the distractions that are happening.
Yeah. And so, with, and I know that, I forgot where I was even going with this, but let's just take a drink real quick.
Yeah.
I know that, there's a lot of, like you said, you're still working your regular job, or when you started it, you're still working a regular job, full-time job. So there's a lot of sacrifice that goes into this. And it just shows, again, getting to 100 episodes shows the dedication that you guys have to doing this, because, and especially at this point, no one's getting rich off this shit. Like, you're doing it because you love it.
Yeah, because especially now, even still, as discouraging as it might sound, but the market is beyond saturated. There's a podcast for anything and everything.
Oh yeah. What is it? So they're saying in America, there's over 900,000 podcasts.
Yeah. And I seen a statistic, this might've been a month or two ago, that was just like, a new podcast comes out every like 17 seconds.
Yeah.
It's just like, holy shit. That's a bit discouraging.
But that's discouraging. But what's encouraging about it is that so many of them are so shitty.
Yeah.
And it only takes, like, was it 1,000 downloads to be in the top 20% of all podcasts?
Yeah.
Because most of them are so shitty or not done right or just whatever.
Like we talked about the consistency. Not everybody's going to stay dedicated to it.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people who will get 1 or 2 episodes in and go, nobody's listening. Well, no shit. You just randomly started a bass fishing podcast and there's 12 people that are listening at the moment. Give it some time.
Yeah.
And that's why the consistency thing is very, very important.
Yeah. And that's why you got to love it. You know what I mean? And it's like, I've been very lucky that, I have a lot of support with this and that people have been very generous with donations and whatnot. But like, I'm not getting anything material out of this. Like, just hear me out with this. Like, and I don't care, because I'm doing this because I just wanted to, something was kind of driving me to do it.
Yeah.
And I just enjoy sitting down and talking to people and just shooting the shit. And I feel like we got a slant, like you guys have a slant on it, or I got a slant on it that's a little bit different. And, my world has always been American, like, subculture worlds. I grew up in punk rock and hardcore and skateboarding and fucking graffiti and fucking antisocial shit and fucking motorcycles and whatnot. And I meet more and more people that kind of have similar backgrounds and, are interested in similar things. And it's just like, that's what we do. So I don't know. Like, there was a drive to do it, but I couldn't even tell you what the drive was. But it was just more of like a need to do it. But to me, it's decompression, dude. Like, as much stress as work as it is, it's fucking cool to sit down and talk to somebody that's interested in similar shit.
Absolutely. Like, there was countless people who've reached out to us over, let's say, the past 2 months, right, with everything COVID related, and have said thank you for doing this. And it's just like, well, I often say, well, you're welcome, but we need to do this just as much, because it's that bit of normalcy that is still in our lives. Thankfully, myself, and again, we're very lucky to do so. Myself and 2 of my friends get to sit down for 2.5 hours uninterrupted to just talk shit.
Yeah. So, and then you have sometimes you have guests, and
we'll have
sometimes
guests
you
on
don't.
and stuff like that. Now the past 2 episodes, we've had guests back in the studio because we want to make sure everybody's comfortable.
Sure, yeah.
So now we've just been inviting, and plus Rhode Island had a can't gather more than 2 or 3 people or whatever. But now it's like fine if it's above 4 or 5, we're good, we're covered. So now we have guests back in, but it's the thing about podcasts and this form of media that I love doing, and it's something different from what we're constantly fed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just anybody can, for I guess both good and bad, right? Because like I said, every 17 seconds a new one comes out. Well, that's okay because everybody has a voice and can do whatever they want.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's not going to be driven by an agenda or by money or anything like that. It's just, no, this is us because we have a passion for it, whether it be cars, motorcycles, music, whatever.
Absolutely,
it's just, we live it. So let's talk about it.
Yeah. And that's the key word is there's a passion for it. So people that are doing it just because they think they see like fucking, and I keep taping to bring him up, but he just sold his show or whatever, Joe Rogan, whatever. People think they're going to be a millionaire off this. Like, no,
right.
You don't understand. He's been doing it 10 years. He was ahead of the curve and he was doing something like you're probably not going to get that.
Yeah.
But you got to do it because you love it. You have a passion for whatever it is that is the focus of your podcast.
And even if it's not monetarily, it's rewarding to get emails, get DMs, meet new people, see cool shit, get invited to things to either drive different cars or whatever, or get invited to that shit that you're not typically going to know about.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the same thing. I get stuff all the time like, hey man, I just stumbled upon your podcast. Fucking just want to say, hey, thanks man for doing that. It's been cool and helping me out, or just even like passing the time during like you said, this COVID thing, it being entertaining or something, but and it's like weird because you don't think of yourself as an entertainer, you know what I mean? It's like just a dude talking shit on a fucking mic, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
just with friends or people that have a shared interest. But it is, like something that people look forward to, like, and it's very bizarre to me. But at the same time, it's not because, I look forward to listening to other podcasts and I can't wait for that next episode, or this guy's on. I can't wait to hear that.
I like listening to Rogan, like, as kind of, mainstream as it is nowadays, it's still not mainstream media. It's still, and I hope it stays that way, just Rogan talking to people. Yeah.
But the thing is like, that's what you get nervous about, right? Is like when like Stern first went to Sirius, the show was real wild style for a little while. And then you saw that it got reined in pretty fucking quick. You know what I mean?
No more anal ring toss.
Yeah. And it got reined in pretty quick. And you know what? Dudes get older. Like, if you look at the Chophead videos, we were way more wild style in our 20s and 30s. I'm 48 now, dude. Like, I'm not going to the shows and being as much of a fucking retard as I was back then. But, still being a little retarded, but, not being as crazy as we were. But, and you just kind of whatever. But, you saw that, like, at first there was no commercials, and then, then you started sneaking commercials, and then it's almost back to, like, the same amount of commercials as when there was on regular radio, and then, you could see that people were stepping in and telling them to rein certain things in and whatnot, and whether it was talked about or not, or just, maybe some of it was him just getting older and whatever, but, so I feel like when a corporation owns like the podcasting, which is like a fucking Wild West, like wild style situation where it's like free fucking media, like meaning not free. Yeah. A lot of times it's free in cost, but like free that there's no regulation on it. Like, when corporations stop buying shit up, that's when it gets a little sketchy because, they might stop putting, and, I'm not talking about Rogan in general. He's just the first one that I've heard of like that got that big of a deal.
Yeah. That is going to be the infant of things, if you will, because I think it's going to change to a certain extent. Now, we may not see it. Like, it could take years and years and years for things to really be affected. But like you're kind of saying, once corporations get involved, when's the FCC going to get involved?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was
to police this shit. Like, no, that's not what this is. In a way, pirate media. Yeah,
I was just gonna say this is fucking pirate radio, but in 2020. You know what I mean?
Right. It just the ability for people to do it is there. Like we said, couple $100, a couple decent mics and a recorder, you're solid. You can pretty much say whatever you choose to say or discuss and talk upon.
And then, you can certainly do it for a couple, and then you could do it for $1,000 and it'll sound like it's recorded in a fucking studio.
Right.
And like all professional, and people are like, damn, dude, like, but, it's crazy. So like, and like we're talking about though, with the magazine, like, and I have a couple issues in your magazine. I fucking like the magazine, even when there's things that like I didn't think I'd be interested in. It's just so shot so beautifully, and the planning that you put into it. And this is, I'm not blowing smoke, you know what I mean? This is like real, like you can see that you're very concerned with it, and you've really thought it out, because you hold it. It's a beautiful thing to hold, and you notice it. It's a quality product. And so it's not like as mass distributed as like something that's on cheap paper and, costs $7 and, but it retails at $7 in the store, but probably costs like 32 cents to make. And it's just put out for like mainstream consumer stuff. Like this is like, it's like a little piece of art, you know what I mean? And then it's only further, the podcast accompanying it just only further like pushes it further. But I'm still the guy that likes to hold a record. Like, I don't even, like I was saying, I don't even listen to vinyl records anymore, but I like having them, especially if it's friends of mine and stuff, because I like to look at it and look at the whole package. And
that's the thing that'll
read the lyrics.
Never go away. It's like an Instagram post or a blog feature where they have their place. Like we have a blog on the website.
You gotta,
they have their place, but it's different.
When you see it in print,
that's 30 seconds. That's a minute worth of content, consumption.
Yeah, that's a double click for a like and swipe up.
Exactly,
you know what I mean?
Exactly. Read through and then you're done, and you're going to forget about it. Whereas a magazine, if you were in it or somebody else, has it, and my buddy was in this magazine, it's probably on their coffee table or on their bookshelf, and they can make reference to it years down the road. Versus,
it just seems more serious. I don't know. Anyone can take a picture and post it on Instagram. Not everyone's going to put the time and effort and money and back it up to actually bring something to print and make it a material thing.
Yeah.
When it's on the web, it's free and it's quick.
It's easy to do.
When it's something you're holding, that is a product that someone put equity, like sweat equity and blood and time into to make it something that you can physically fucking hold and look at.
Yeah. It's a different thing. And that's why I did it. It just, I had a blog website back in, I started that in like 2009, and the name of that was Gangsta Out. And that was basically just Volkswagen and Audi based European car stuff. But that was blog. And we did that for a while. And then that went away just because I got, into family stuff and focused on that. But I knew there was always that spark or need to I love cars. I love cars, bikes, motorcycles, that motoring aspect of things. Someday, regardless of that blog being down, I would revisit that itch, if you will.
Yeah.
And 2 years ago, I got the itch again. And then that's literally on a drive home from work, from my office job. I was just like, I need to, I have all these photos. I've been shooting this stuff, whether it be cars or bikes. I was still photographing things. But I'm not doing anything with them. Sure, I'd submit every now and then something for a different like European magazine or something like that. It's cool, but
you shot some bikes too, right? Like you shot one for us.
Yeah. There's a few different things, and it was just like, this is what I want to do. I got to figure out how to make this.
Yeah.
And then again, it just all kind of stems from there. Like, no, I'm going to make my own. Literally in that 40-minute drive, I was going to actually originally, bring back that website. But in that 40-minute drive, I'm like, nope, that's dead. It's gone. And hence why the Revival name is here, was because I was going to revive Gangsta Out, but I let that die. And, Revival Motoring was born right there.
Crazy how that works sometimes, right? Like you stumble onto something and you're thinking one thing, and then all of a sudden something else hits, and then it just fucking snowballs.
That's it. Yeah,
insanity, crazy, and you got to write it shit down. You're like, oh fuck yeah, you know.
And it's one of those things. Like I obviously the first person I told my wife, and who knows what I sounded like. I was probably just I'm gonna do this. We're gonna do this, and she was just let's do it. Yeah,
fuck
do it. So it was just like, all right, how do I make a magazine?
Yeah.
And then at the same time, well, how do I got to record? And then, you know, like I said earlier, it just kind of stemmed from that. Well, I'm going to record this. And then, well, if I have that, I should probably do this. And it was just learning everything. And that's the one thing, you know, for not that we're criticizing digital stuff, but digital stuff is also out there and it's available for anybody to learn damn near everything.
Yeah.
So I got to figure out how to use Adobe InDesign. Let me look it up. Let me look up templates for magazines. And then kind of go from there.
Yeah.
And then same thing with the podcast stuff. Well, how do I record a podcast? Where do I host it? It all just, you know, fortunately I could Google that.
You could Google it. And it's just funny. Like, no matter what you want to do in life, I guarantee you can go on YouTube and some motherfucker has filmed it and wants to tell you how to do it or how they did it. You know, there's always a million ways to do something, you know what I mean? But there's always somebody that wants to show you how to do something. Yeah. And they film it and they put it out. And then not only that, but I find with things like, you know, learning software or how to do things, there's always like these like online like courses and shit. Like, and I don't, you know, obviously some of them are just scams for money, but there's always like some stuff like they even have all that like masterclass stuff, like where you like Francis Ford Coppola like will bring you in, like you sign up for his course and he'll show you how he shoots movies or, you know, different shit like that, you know.
Ron Howard, I think it was Ron Howard. I got an ad for one of his things the other day. I'm just like, wait, this is the guy who shot like Apollo 13. I can just take his course. Like,
it's just it's crazy. Like, you know, and it kind of ties into like virtual shit, like schools right now. Everyone's virtual,
right?
Even public high school and public elementary and middle schools and whatever.
And that's kind of another, I don't know. It's going to be another result of everything that we're dealing with now. Shit's going to change drastically.
Oh yeah,
because people are going to realize, well, you know, I can do this. Both from an individual standpoint and student standpoint to schools themselves. Like, well, if we just did this, we'd have half the staff and we could make this much more money because that's the way, you know, they think.
But there's always, you know, there's always pros and cons to every situation too. Like, you know, online learning, you can learn some stuff, but there's always a difference between experiencing something online and fucking being there. Whether it's a show or a class lecture. You know, I can tell you, like, if I had to, when I went to college, like, if everything was online, I would have skipped half that shit.
Yeah.
There's a difference being there if it's a good teacher. You know what I mean?
Like, one of those things, a perfect example is I want to learn how to weld. I'd love to learn how to weld. I'm not going to do it online. Sure, I can watch videos.
Yeah.
That's great. I have a, you know, theoretical or brief fundamental idea, but it's just because I'm watching that video doesn't mean I can show up to your shop and be like, hey, let me weld up this frame real quick. It's probably not going to happen.
No.
The experience is just as important
for a lot of things.
It's tenfold.
Yeah. Like, you know, it's like I say with like shows, like people go to shows now and they just spend the whole time filming it. One, are you really going to watch that? And who's fucking watching that?
Right.
And two, just fucking be there and enjoy the show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, when I was a kid, if there was a band that I couldn't see, I would love to have seen a video, you know, but chances are, you know, like, I don't know, like it's just way better to be there, you know?
Yeah.
But, you know, and it's the same thing with anything, man. Like, there are some things like, you can look at pictures online. I feel it's better to hold a collection of them in a book or a magazine.
It's just as rewarding for me when that final, like, cause I'll get a proof. And it's cool. Like, it's a proof.
Yeah.
It's everything that we put together actually printed. That's great, but it's not bound. So the proof is just, all right, let me comb through this and make sure everything looks right. We, you know, everything's spelt right, all that sort of shit. But when we take delivery of the actual magazine, I'm just like, holy shit, we made this.
Yeah.
Like, I can't believe we made this.
Yeah. There's like a pride of craftsmanship.
Yeah. It's just like one of the first, I take one out, I'll look through it. And I'm not, at that point, I'm not checking it for any issues by any means.
Yeah, because it's too late.
Right, at that point.
You're sitting on
we got
pallet of them.
Right, we got all these boxes. So I'm just enjoying it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, it's weird. And it's funny. I never really thought of it that way, but I've done that with every single one of them so far. And then I'll take that, whatever the first one is I grab, and I put it away for myself.
Sure.
And that's that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And so, tell me, I know we talked about it a little bit, but talk a little bit about what the kind of impetus is behind Revival. Because it's funny, because I've known you for a long time, and I've seen you around for a long time, always taking pictures and stuff. And I knew you ran there. I never was involved in this, but I know so many of my friends at the time, like there was like this whole like Volkswagen kind of subculture.
Yeah.
And I knew you were like heavily involved in that. But I also knew you from like taking pictures at bike shows or just hanging around like Butcher Shop or whatever. And, you know, different things like that. And being at bike events and whatnot. But, you know, so, you know, I know that was what your old blog was like mostly kind of centered on. Like, what was the impetus behind, you know, Revival, and like what kind of things are you doing? Because I know it's a little more open and you're not just doing like, you know, German stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
It's truly, we cover everything. I mean, you know, I've joked about, or at sometimes I've even gotten in touch with people about covering like an airplane. Like I want cool stories about anything and everything with a motor for the most part. Now I have to often kind of rein myself in, because I love European cars. So it's very easy to just go down that path of just do that. But I have to remind, like, I want to cover all this stuff, whether it be motorcycles, cars, hot rods, anything like that. Just truly find cool people who nobody would ever really see doing cool shit. Because that's where it is. And you kind of did this same thing, or did it before with the DVDs, like going to just small garages where one dude built this thing, and it's one of the coolest bikes or whatever it could be, and he spent 3+, 4+, or she spent 3+, 4+ years making this thing, and they might take it to some local shows, and that's about it. But that's what I want to find, is those cool stories of people who just do awesome stuff. And that's basically it. It's just anything cool we're going to cover, as long as it has a motor.
That's cool shit with a motor.
Yeah, that's what we're looking for.
Cool.
And we, you know, now we're kind of theming some of the issues. So like the next one is going to be wagons. But we're going to have European based stuff. There's Japanese based stuff. I'd love to find something in the American world, like hot rod wagon or something, Rambler or whatever they're called, or something along those lines. Just to kind of give a theme to an issue. So it's not constantly all over the place. At least have something geared towards, you know, something that's similar from front to back.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Did you you know who might be an interesting guy for you is there's a guy, he's in Boston or Cambridge or something, and he's like kind of a bane in the existence of Tesla, because he takes Tesla's like crashed ones and makes new ones out of them.
Richie rebuilds.
Yeah. That would be
I'd like to. Matter of fact, I think I reached out to him. But he's got quite a following now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Matter of fact, he was on. If it's the same guy that we're thinking of, he was on Rogan.
Okay.
So he's like, now he's just like way too popular.
Sure.
So I don't know if he'd even answer my emails or DMs or anything like that. But that's exactly that type of person.
Yeah.
Something like, you know, no, I'm going to do this myself. Like, no, you can't tell me I can't do this. I purchased said vehicle and I'm going to dismantle it and do whatever I want with it.
Yeah. Or buy some crashed ones and reverse engineer it and figure out how it works and
sort it out. Yeah. He's basically making a career out of that now.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
I think it's cool. Like, I'm not super into electric cars or anything. I've never driven one. I'm sure once I drive one, I'd be more hooked, because you hear people talk about how awesome it is.
It's absurd. Like I was quite against them. Just because I love petrol engines.
Yeah.
But I was fortunate enough to drive a Tesla, and then fortunate enough to drive a Porsche Taycan.
Yep.
And that's obviously, when you get a name like Porsche behind something, it's a Porsche.
Yeah.
And this thing was all of your science fiction fantasies wrapped into one.
Yeah.
There was myself and 3 other people in the car. And it just, I can't even say when, it just literally launched us. We're in the direction I pointed it, and hit and not gas, but hit the, 0 to 100 switch. And it made these crazy TIE fighter noises. And it was way more thrilling and exhilarating to be behind this electric vehicle than I ever imagined.
Really? That's what I've heard from everybody that has like a more performance-based electric vehicle. Obviously the little hybrids or the
That's
whatever.
the-
That's it's commuter things are one thing,
Right.
But the performance stuff, it's like I heard it's like the most insane shift kit you could ever like feel like like you just get thrown back and like all of a sudden you're just going fucking.
It's a look into the future, and if
Yeah.
that's the future, like, holy fuck, the future is going to be way too fast for us humans.
Yeah. That's what I always wondered because Harley has that live wire, and you hear about like the Tesla like roadsters and like the Porsche, and then it's like. If you have a bike that can go 0 to like 70 in like a second,
People are gonna get
people are going to hit in walls and shit. You know what I mean?
Plenty of people get themselves into trouble now.
Yeah.
That thing, like, they honestly have to kind of tune it back, I'd assume, because there's no.
Well, there's like a even more crazy Tesla coming out, right? That's
So now there's the P100D, I believe, is the fastest Tesla that's currently being sold. I believe it's a twin motor. One up front, one in the back. And it's absurd. It has like a ludicrous mode. I don't know what the actual horsepower or rating that they give it is.
It's funny that's actually what it's called too,
and
is
that's
the
why,
ludicrous mode.
Musk is as crazy as he comes across, on social media and in general. The stuff that he's doing from SpaceX to this stuff, it's just like there's ludicrous mode. He said is because he likes Spaceballs. Like that's why he likes the fucking movie Spaceballs. That's a legitimate thing. So that shit and the Porsche itself, both of those cars are probably, with I hate to say this, like too fast to be on the road. Cause obviously I like things that go fast and are fucking cool, but those things you can get yourself into trouble very, very fast.
Well, knowing the general population is there's going to be some people that can't handle the power of some certain things.
100%.
Yeah, that's all it is. It'll just increase Darwinism, I guess. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And matter of fact, I think it already has. I mean, not even from a speed factor standpoint, but from a autonomous vehicle standpoint, even though the thing is not autopilot, it's called autopilot in the Tesla, but it cannot fully drive itself to and from yet, but it's pretty close.
Yeah.
It's assisted driving is probably the better term, but people just take it as autopilot and they get way too comfortable and die. It's happened. There's just search it. There's plenty of them that have, it's not smart enough to recognize every single scenario yet. So, you still need driver inputs.
The crazy thing you hear about, is with these cars is that, there's like software updates and they'll just push a new update to you. And it's like, all right, I got to update my car. What the fuck, dude? I'm so used to like fucking carburetors and fucking, points and shit. You know what I mean?
Right. They're firmware updates over the air, essentially.
Yeah.
It's literally the same thing as you getting.
But some of them are like, they're like $4,000 and it's like, what the fuck, dude? You know what I mean?
And depending upon, so say you bought a Tesla and it didn't have that particular, I think the autopilot is an extra cost, but you could buy that. And one of the things that's kind of shitty is if said person, say you bought a used Tesla and the person you bought it from purchased that autopilot,
it doesn't come with it.
Tesla or they've been taking it away. As wrong as that, like you bought the car, it's like if you were to buy a Cadillac.
So it goes with the person, not the car.
Right. And if you were to buy a Cadillac with,
but here's the question. So say you owned a Tesla and you bought that autopilot update and you sold the car.
And got a new one.
If you got a new one,
it's a good question. I don't know.
That would be, then, all right, I can see it be kind of fair.
Sense, right?
Then the autopilot automatically updates to the new car.
Yeah.
That would make sense. But if it's not, then it's like, that's fucking scummy.
There's some weird shit that you wouldn't even think about. I read a story about a guy who drove his Tesla out to Joshua Tree.
Yep.
And he was just like, I wanted to go out there and take some pictures, in the morning of the landscape. The way the Teslas are, you have two options. One, you can have the app on your phone, or two, you can have a little credit card that looks like a hotel room key in your pocket. He elected to leave said credit card key at home. Probably not a good idea because he got out to the Joshua Tree and his phone died. Once his phone died, he had no way to call anybody to tell anybody that the card was not there. And his car was like, no, fuck you. You can't drive me. So it's just like those scenarios that you don't necessarily think of. And
it's not simple as having a little key.
Right. And that's why they say, at the very least, keep the card in your wallet just to give you access to the car. Because it's such a weird, with those things, you literally have it on you. As soon as you touch the door handle, It unlocks, you get in, you go. There's no turning anything on. There's nothing. It's just you button away and that's it.
Dude, my newest vehicle is a 2008. So like, you know what I mean? Like that, my FJ, you know, and it's like, you know, like I got a 66, a Lincoln Continental and a 67 Impala and a 70 C10. Like, you know what I mean? So this stuff is all crazy.
It truly is futuristic. It's you get in, and especially with the Porsche. I mean, both of them have their you know things, but you feel like you're in the future. Like this is a spaceship. This is it's just like, holy shit, this is real. This is happening now, and these are on the road.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is too, is like, you know, I've heard from some people that have them that were like into like, that are still into like old hot rods and cool, like, you know, to me, like older shit. They're like, it's just, it makes everything else seem like stupid or
stop wasting your time, essentially. But it's such a, again, we can get back to the magazine or the records or shooting on film cameras. It's going to be that same boutique-esque feel because in 30 or 40 years, when everybody has electric cars and that's all that's produced, I'm going to still want a petrol engine. There's something that gives me that an electric car, although it could beat it on every spec, won't be able to replicate.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. And it's just, you know, even bringing it to a bike, I'm sure the Livewire does not have the rumble of a V-twin, you know, air-cooled. And I know the new ones are liquid-cooled, some of them, you know what I mean? But a big air-cooled V-twin engine, you know what I mean? That's going to fucking rumble, and it feels a certain way, and they can never replicate that. I guess, too, like they said with some of the cars, they're so quiet and stuff, they had to, like, add stuff, noise. Add noise to it.
Like a pedestrian deterrent to help save people.
Yeah,
because you can literally be going down a road, and you know Darwinism. People just step out in front of you.
Yeah,
not realizing, and you know at the very I think in other countries, I think other countries is more predominant. It's there, and it almost has to beep like periodically, whereas here they just actually have to pump out a little sound. And I truly mean it. The Porsche in particular, when you put that thing, when you turn that thing on, if you will, it sounds like a TIE fighter. It almost sounds nuclear. It's just like, what the hell is that? And it's just, and that's before you even get in it and get on it. It just has this, this nuclear, you know, hum to it.
That's crazy. Yeah. Now I really gotta go. I gotta go act like I'm gonna buy one so I can test ride one. I'm sure there's like way like I'm sure they like if I walked in, I'm sure they'd be like, yeah, dude, I'm sure you're looking for one. You know,
Tesla wise, you can just go drive whatever you want.
Really?
Yeah. Just set up a test drive.
Really?
Matter of fact, they might even bring it to your door.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they're pretty lenient because there's with Tesla in particular. Porsche, it's different because it's Porsche, but Tesla, there's their whole way of selling you stuff. It's like buying a phone. There's no negotiation. The price is the price. Do you want it or not? If you go into a dealership, or dealership is a stretch. Go into the store, they'll explain everything. They'll let you have a test drive, answer any questions that you might have, and then if you decide to purchase one, they lead you to a computer to do it. And you place your order that way. That's it. Like there's no cross the table negotiating.
And can you buy one there, or is it like they made to order?
Made to order. So essentially you have to place the order. Now, I don't know if that's the same thing with any, quote unquote used ones that they might have on the lot, which I don't think they really do.
No. It's too new to have a big substantial used inventory.
Yeah, and you can get some, but I believe they're all on the website as well. So like if you wanted one, realistically, you go on their website, leave like $100 deposit or whatever the deposit is. And then, a couple
that's what's ludicrous.
Later,
that's what's ludicrous about them is these cars are substantial money, but it's like $100 deposit. Like if you wanted to put your place in line for that fucking truck they're making,
Cybertruck,
it's like $100 or $500 or something you got to put down. And
$100, and that's the, that's why everybody looks at Musk with questionable eyes, if you will, because he does that, and suddenly he has 25 million of these or 25 million bucks in the bank that he didn't have, and he didn't even deliver a product.
Yeah.
And that's just with the hope that the product will be delivered. So
but there's a lot of shit that's like pre-order, like, in the world, like you pre-order a lot of things.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we do it with merch and shirts and magazine. Yeah. Like I do the pre-order with all that stuff, and the magazine in particular, because we're a small company. We're a small business. This is literally operated out of my office in my apartment.
Yeah.
So like if I put the pre-order up and we sell, I don't know, 300, oh, cool. I'm going to order 400 of these.
Yeah.
And cool, we're good. But if it's only 100, well, then we're probably only going to order 200 just because I can't kill myself and spend 15, 20 grand on making 2,000 of these things. So I want
and then have them sit around
and just right. Exactly. It just wouldn't work. So, I'm all for the pre-ordering stuff.
Yeah, no, I get it. And it's just a way to gauge interest. Like, it's like, all right, well, now we know we have to tool up to make this many versus.
Right. Exactly.
To me, it's kind of smart business. I mean, it sucks because it's weird because it's kind of anti-American culture, which is like, give it to me now.
Right.
And it's like, no, now you got to wait, and who knows how long you're waiting. It could be 6 weeks, could be a fucking year, could be 5 years.
With Tesla stuff, it's at least a year.
Yeah,
I know they're delivering. I think they're delivering. It's called the Model Y, which is a smaller SUV. But I want to say that's close to a year and a half, 2 years of before it was dropped and available for pre-order, and then finally taking delivery.
Yeah, this was not to keep going on about Tesla or Musk or whatever, but I feel like there's a lot of people that are CEOs that I have a little bit of like disdain for.
Yep.
But he seems like a pretty fucking cool dude. Like, that's into rad shit. Like, he's like, yeah, let's go to fucking space. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Or let's make this electric car. It gets a little scary when you get into his neural net shit. Like, I don't know if I want a brain implant for the fucking sake of having the internet in my fucking head.
Right.
But, I don't see him as being a sketchy dude. Like, he just seems like he's into cool shit and he just makes shit happen.
Just like we have a passion for creating stuff.
Yeah.
He has a passion for creating stuff in just a different manner.
Yeah.
It's just and when you listen to him, you can literally hear his brain calculating.
Yeah.
Like that's every time I hear him talk, it's just, he's going to the most calculated answer and correct answer or factual answer he can provide.
He's wired differently. Like,
completely.
And I've heard him even say, like, you wouldn't want to have what's going on in my head in your head.
Because he said
it's not cool. It's not fun.
Just can't shut it off ever. Cannot shut it off. So, he's definitely, one of the craziest people in the world currently.
Yeah.
And
but
he's
doing
going to
cool
go down
shit.
in history.
Yeah. But it doesn't seem to be a lot of that anymore. Like, there's so much like weirdness and greed and like whatever with companies now that a lot of CEOs is just, what I never understood was the concept of never ending growth, where like you're a failure of a CEO as a CEO. Like, say your company in 2018 profited $2 billion. In 2019, if you didn't do more than $2 billion, that's a fucking failure.
Right.
Profited. You still profited $2 billion, motherfucker. If you didn't profit 2.3 billion, like, that's a failure. That's insanity to me.
It's just, everybody wants to be bigger and have more and greed. It comes down to greed and more money and just like, because there's plenty of people who are out there who might own a mom and pop shop who it's them. They got their kids. They're put their kids through college. They have a decent house and they're okay with that. And that's okay. That really is okay.
That's kind of American dream, right?
That's
there.
it, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. The picket fence.
You sustain yourself. You have a house. You do. You provide, and you have food on the table,
right?
And whatever.
And you have your shop, and you look forward to retirement someday.
Yeah.
And that's okay to do. It's just that, right? It's at some point it got, well, we need to be bigger than them, and then that is just that cycle of that's it, just continuing to.
It's like how much and it's I'm not trying to oversimplify it, but if you are profiting in the millions or billions, and when's enough?
When's enough?
Yeah.
And that's why. We might have that example of like Bill Gates. He's now instead his crusade is supposedly is to be more humanitarian. He's multi-billion-dollar person and he's fine. He's set for life or his generations are set for life.
Yeah.
And supposedly he's taking up more humanitarian things, but he's just one example because there's others who just want more and more and more and more.
Yeah. And whatever. And then, I know there's a Gates Foundation. And then that's when you kind of get into like, you know, and I don't know, I can't back this up because I don't know, but like then there's like things where him saying, you know, we need to make vaccinations and the world ain't going to be safe till we vaccinate everyone.
Right.
That gets scary.
Calm down. Yeah.
Calm down.
Yeah.
Like, because we all know that vaccines aren't 100% effective and that there are bad effects for a small number of people and this and that. Like, and I'm not one of those anti-vaxxers. I'm just like, let's be fucking smart about this and not react on emotion like, oh, we got this COVID stuff. There's a vaccine and now we have to vaccinate everyone.
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's think about it. You know what I mean? Let's study it and be a little more informed about shit.
Right.
You know?
You need a bit more facts to kind of back that up before making that decision.
And, you know, I don't know about like, I don't know, forced vaccination stuff sounds a little creepy for adults.
Yeah. No, realistically, if people don't want to vaccinate their kid, that's their right still.
And again, it's personal. I don't have a kid, so I don't want to even get into like the vaccinating your kid study, not study, but vaccinate your kid thing because, you know, that, you know, it's an infant. I don't know. But as a 48-year-old man, I don't want anyone telling me I have to have a vaccination for something. No, let me roll the dice. If I die from it, it's on fucking me. Right. And I'll accept that. You know what I mean? Like, I chose not to, and I'm only affecting me.
Because that's ultimately your rights. That's how it should. Ultimately, you should be responsible for choosing your fate.
Yes, exactly.
And roll the dice.
And that's just one thing that I feel gets lost with both, with I don't want to keep going back to like, oh, the two parties, whatever. But in American culture today, like that's something that's lost. Is like personal responsibility and accountability. You have a choice. You can choose, you know, what to do, but you bear both like the wins and the losses.
Yeah.
You know, if you do something and you win from it, okay, great. If you do something and you lose from it, that's still on you, you know, and learn from it and move on and do something different. You know what I mean?
Much prefer to have that third choice be more predominant versus you have to be A or B.
Yeah.
That's it. Like in a lot of cases, that's it. You're either this or you're that. When in reality, no, there's millions upon millions of people who are not. And don't want to fall to either side.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And bringing it back to political power, I think the best thing that we could do in the country is if everyone unenrolled and registered as independent and started making politicians work for your vote and not just know that they're going to get your vote because there's a D after the name or an R after their name.
Right.
Like that would really help, I think, send a message and really help kind of rein things in a little bit. And, you know, there's so much, the word, like we do not hold politicians accountable anymore. Like when our country was young, like politicians were tarred and feathered and dragged through the fucking streets. Like I'm not calling for that. I'm just saying, and now like we just reelect them. Like they can lie and cheat and steal as much as they want. There's no accountability anymore. And like, they just like, oh, okay. You know, maybe they don't get reelected or something, but they don't.
Or they move to another county or state. Yeah.
When do you hear about a politician, you know, that's done fucking crazy shit, really get arrested and go to like a real prison? You don't ever hear about
or even
that.
like losing their job. For
it's just, they don't. Yeah. It's just
no.
And it's, so it's crazy. Like, and you know, it's like, you know, not to get down in this whole discussion, but it's a weird thing because, you know, it's tough because it's chicken or egg scenario. They're getting away with all this stuff, but people aren't fully aware of everything that's being done because one, most people are working two jobs, or a lot of people are working two jobs, and they're tired, and you know, a lot of families, like, you know, in the 60s, like you could get away with like, you know, one parent working one job and providing for a family of four. Now most households, not most, but I'm not trying to generalize here. Many households have both parents working, some working two jobs, and people don't have time. And then when you're fed news that's slanted a certain way, you're not getting like a balanced story. And so like it all is a cycle that perpetuates itself. And then, you know, everyone's like worried about fighting each other and like, when you don't really see that these politicians have put themselves in a place where they're almost like they put themselves above you, and that's not how it is.
And
like,
they're untouched.
And like they put things through that is, you know, subject to the American people, but they write themselves out of it. There's so many cases of Congress like put themselves exempt from certain things.
Right.
No, dude, that's not how it works.
Yeah, it should be
it's not how it
applicable
works.
to all.
To all. Like, you're not some ruling elite. You are elected officials. You're not rulers. You know what I mean? And people have to get that through their heads. And they also have to get through, the government doesn't make money. The government takes your money and appropriates it. So, like, when the government spends money, they are spending your tax dollars. They are not spending money they made somehow.
Right.
So stop thinking of things that way too, and then demand accountability on how that money is spent, because it seems like you have a business, you work, but you also have a side business. You see how much small business is fucking battered, dude. Like,
oh yeah,
like
crazy.
I have like 4 different insurance policies. I got a insurance policy on the business. I got insurance policy on the property. I got insurance policy on, the having a dealership and, having a dealer plate and on the shop van. And then, I pay corporate tax. I pay property tax. I pay, tax on income tax. I pay, and it's like, it never ends. And then there's so many fucking bullshit regulations from cities and towns and fucking local politics. Everybody that's a citizen here, you're getting whacked so many different ways
constantly.
And then they put things under as fees or licenses or registrations or this and that. Those are all just taxes with a different name.
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day, how much of your money actually goes to the government and how much are you really getting for that?
Right.
And you really think about it and be honest and truthful with that, yeah, of course, someone's going to pave the streets. Okay. Yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah.
And I don't mind paying taxes, but I just feel like so much is getting taken from the individual, and I don't think there's a big return on investment.
I'd like to see a breakdown. Make me a spreadsheet and show me where that stuff's going.
And never mind going down conspiracy things with like black budgets and like hidden budgets and things like that. I don't even care about that right now. I'm just talking about what's on the books.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't vote on that. When do I get to say you're spending my money, motherfucker? Like, that's what's lost.
Yeah.
It's like they just think because people are so complacent
Just
about
go with
shit.
it. Right,
Just
exactly.
whatever. They'll do whatever we tell them. That's not how it works. Like, we need to kind of turn that shit around. All right, not trying to bring it down to that, to that thing. And, but and it goes like the police are just a small subset of that, and they're under scrutiny right now because of rightfully so, because everything that's going on.
It's the rest of the world.
But the police are just a small subset of the bigger government that they're part of.
That's the bit we can see.
That's the bit you can see because you might have more interaction with them.
Yeah.
But, and I'm for some police reform. I'm not like saying, I think some common sense things would be like, and they bring this up for anyone that's a gun owner, that there should be background checks and this and that. Well, quite honestly, in the state of Massachusetts, I don't know about everywhere, it takes more hours of training to become a barber than it does to become a cop.
Yeah.
That's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
That's fucking stupid because a cop has so much power and is carrying a weapon and whatever. So, and don't take this as anti-police. I'm being fucking common sense here. I think there should be mandatory, periodic fucking psychological evaluations on these guys and girls.
Right.
Because it is a stressful job on top of that. So it's like, if you're under that much stress and you want to complain that you're under that much stress, then maybe at some point you're not psychologically fit to do that job anymore.
It should be much harder than it is to be a police officer.
Yeah.
Period.
There should be more training. There should be more evaluations. And, anytime that there's a case of police brutality, you look at that, they'll bring up that dude's record or gal's record, and there'll be like 12, 15 fucking things on their record for like, improper use of force or police brutality and stuff. How about stop at 2 or 3? You know what I mean?
At one point, you would think there'd be a red flag.
Yeah.
At somewhere.
Yeah. How about that? And then my boy Denver Dan brought up the best thing, because I had posted something about this. He goes, yeah, and make fucking the police brutality lawsuits when there's settlements, make that come out of police pensions, not fucking taxpayer money.
Right.
And then what that would do is help get the quote unquote good cops more invested in stopping the bullshit of the fucking quote unquote bad cops.
Brotherhood. If you like, you're my brother's keeper. Like,
and I get it, because you're in sketchy situations, and I try and see things from both sides of the fence. If you're a cop, you're dealing with people lying to you all day for the most part, and you're dealing with like shitty situations, and so I get it.
Oh, it's not easy.
I'm not saying it's easy, but no one put a gun to your head and said, hey, you need to be a cop. You chose to do it. That is where personal responsibility and accountability comes in too. You chose to do that job. No one forced you into that job. So take the good with the bad of it, and just let's break it down real simple. Don't be a dick.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's wicked easy. Don't be a dick.
Don't be a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
And it's pretty obvious when you are being an asshole.
Yeah.
It's just like,
I've been pulled over by people where I can see by the demeanor that they walk up. I'm like, all right, this is going to go bad.
Yeah.
Or you can see like, I don't know, whatever. You know what I mean? And I never if I'm speeding, cop pulls you over. You know why I pulled you over? I was probably going fast. Right? I don't know, whatever, and because, whatever, I'm not going to gain anything behind. They're not, this is a dumb thing to go down, but you're not going to get over, really. You know what I mean?
Right.
Playing stupid isn't going to get you over. They know you're playing stupid. You know what I mean? So just be fucking upfront. I don't care, motherfucker. I was going fast. Yeah, whatever.
Right.
And guess what, dude? Maybe that shouldn't be even your fucking job, dude. Like, that's my biggest gripe. Like, cops should not be revenuers for the fucking state.
Right.
And when it comes down to it, like, your job is to police, keep the peace, not fucking collect money for the fucking state. And if that's how you look at your job and you're a cop, fuck you. You're fucking part of the problem.
That's a complete, right. That's not what it should be at all.
Mm-mm. And it sucks because they're forced to be in that, because like some states and towns or cities do put like quotas, like, you got to write this many tickets.
I've heard it before, and you actually hear it towards the end of like every month.
And that puts them in a position where they got to do it, and whether they want to or not, they got to still feed their families and shit, But fuck you, that shit's fucking stupid. That's lame, and like, fuck that. I'm not saying fuck you, like you had no control over it, but fuck that. You know what I mean?
Right, that idea. That aspect of it.
And cops need to be demilitarized. Like, dude, like, we're in Freetown. Like, it's a small town. They got this fucking military vehicle. What do you fucking need that for?
Right.
Fucking relax, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
it just gives opportunity there. If you have something like that, you're just giving people reasons to use it.
Yeah. Because justification. Well, we got it. We got to use it.
Right. Exactly.
And in all fairness, I've never seen it on the streets in Freetown, but like, and I'm not picking on Freetown. I'm just saying, I'm sure so many small towns or areas have these military type vehicles you don't need, or you see these cops and you're like, what are you, a fucking soldier for the New World Order, dude? Like, like you see these guys in fucking masks and fucking this and that. No wonder motherfuckers hate you, dude. You look like a fucking soldier marching down my street. Like, you look like the enemy, dude. Like,
I was just gonna say, right? You don't look approachable. You don't look like you're on our side. It's just you literally are an enemy. Like,
you look like an invading force, dude. You know what I mean? Like, and that doesn't do anything to help any situation at all.
No. It's and again, all of take it with a grain of salt. Videos where you see police actually trying to speak to protesters and things like that, they're not wearing helmets. They're not wearing fucking vests. They're out there. They're dressed clearly as police officers, but they're also a person, like trying to speak to other people at the same time. So,
like I said, this is just talking common sense about some things that would be good for the country. I'm not hating cops or not hating cops. Like, if you're an asshole, I fucking fuck you. You know what I mean?
It's just,
no matter what your job is, dude. You know what I mean?
Right. It doesn't matter. There's as a human being, you should you should act a certain way.
But that
especially
said,
towards other humans.
Once power is involved, there tends to be a notion, like a clear pathway that more towards like the abuse of power, because you can.
Right.
Like, not saying everybody does. I'm just saying in any job where there's power.
And if somebody opposes you or doesn't give you the answer you want,
you're above the law in certain situations. But there's that saying that absolute power corrupts and power corrupts absolutely, or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, and it's true. Like, it's human nature. You're going to take advantage of it.
I mean, we've seen this before. Like, look at there's literally hundreds of years of cultures and if you follow them, they kind of history repeats itself.
Yeah,
it's okay. I get it.
Yeah,
and you know, here we are.
Yeah, and that's why there needs to be like more checks and balances on the power structure. And I'm not just talking about cops. I'm talking about
everything.
Your state
everything.
legislator. I'm talking about your town legislature. I'm talking about your federal fucking
like
government.
We said, the microscope is on the cops now.
Yeah,
and it's being brought to light as it should.
Yeah,
but there's a lot more beyond that.
They're only a small that's
the beginning.
They're a small little microcosm of the bigger picture. And and you know, when you have a government that just is growing exponentially and expanding exponentially, like, you know, like, just for example, with this COVID shit, just to bring it down to like a relatable example, me and my boy Ryan own a tattoo shop. Tattoo shops, tattoo artists are very trained in proper sanitation techniques, get trained in bloodborne pathogens, get trained in all kinds of coursework you got to take to become a licensed artist in the state of Massachusetts. I don't know how it is everywhere, but in the state of Massachusetts. And we're required to sanitize the room in between every client. I would lick the counter of my tattoo shop before I would touch one in a hospital. You know what I mean? They're a very clean sanitary environment. And like, when the shop is allowed to open, there is so much more regulation than there already was, which was already keeping people safe for a very long time. It just gets to the point of absurdity. Right. And it's because you got these legislators who don't know shit from fucking Shinola, who are in a place of power to make you have to do what they want when they're not even really fucking informed about things. Yeah. Like, and it's like, this is the insanity of our world. Like, you got people that are fucking retards running the show but making you subject to their fucking whim. It's insane, dude. Like, and you know, obviously I say retard a lot, and I don't mean any disrespect to anybody with. I never would say that to somebody who does that has a mental issue. You know what I mean? Yeah. I only say it to people that don't. But whatever. I'm done fucking apologizing for shit too. If you don't like it, you can shut it off. Like, that's your right as a person. Like, you don't have to subscribe to this or listen, you know. But I would never do it. Anyone that knows me knows that I'm not a disrespectful person, you know. But I say words that just I grew up with, or whatever. But that aside, but you got these fucking morons that are running the show that all their job is to be a politician. And they're listening to advisors or whatever, and it's like, oh, we got to do this, we got to do that, we got to do this, we got to do that. Why? You know? And guess what? No, fuck you. I don't need to do that. We're already regulating ourselves, and we're already subject to so much regulation. I don't need any more.
Here, make a decision on this without knowing all the facts and how things are going to affect the others that are, you know, you're putting these regulations in for. Yeah. Just here, make a decision.
Make a decision.
That's what,
and it's all for feel good, false security.
Right.
And you know, like, oh, well, look, we're doing something. No, you're not. Shut up.
It's right. It's like, trying to make, you know, make their position.
And then even the governor of Rhode Island's the best because she's such a fucking piece of shit. You know what I mean? She'll like be like, oh, you can't be on the street without a mask. And then they'll show her that night she's out without a mask and about like, oh, you know, do as I say, not as I do. You know, like
there was something just a day or two ago.
Yeah. But it's been a continual thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's like literally, you know, I did write a letter to Charlie Baker, governor of Massachusetts today, about how ridiculous this whole situation is from a business owner standpoint. And, you know, you gotta, you know, I'm not out there storming his office, but, you know, like, I'm letting him know, you know, and I always do that. Like, you gotta, you know, when you don't participate, that's when they get comfortable in doing whatever they want to do. Cause they're like, oh, these people don't really care. You know what I mean? Like, you know, so, you know, one thing, just hold them accountable, write and tell them, you know, that it's wicked easy. You can call, right? You can find the number, find the email address.
That's what
very easily, you know,
what we should do.
And that's what you should.
Just as people, it just, again, don't blindly follow. Don't just get in line.
Yeah. And it's your responsibility as a citizen to keep these motherfuckers in check. And we don't, and I haven't always either. You know, I'm not standing on a soapbox here. We don't, and that's why they get away with everything they do.
Right, and that's it ultimately leads to why so many small businesses are suffering and may or may not make it past this. I mean, it affects us big time because we rely on revenue from car shows. That's not a thing this year. That's not happening. No. We had events at our place, and now I think we're going to be limited to, I think, 100, 150 people, which, okay, that's at least something, but we don't even know the rules or regulations.
Well, that's the problem is when they're going to put all these rules in place. They don't even know what the rules are, and they won't know to the last minute, and they're just going to put it out and then subject you to it.
Right.
No,
it's just
that's not how it works.
Right. At the matter of fact, I was listening to Rogan, and there was a couple restaurateurs on there, and they're like, oh yeah, well, technically we can open today, but we don't know how, because we don't know our capacity and we don't know the regulations, and we don't know, like, how are you supposed to, you're open, you're good. Well, I don't know how I'm supposed to operate.
Yeah.
How am I supposed to open?
And that's the problem. You shouldn't have to wonder that. Go fucking operate. You know what I mean?
Right,
and then, like, that's the thing. Like, fucking say fuck you to these people. Like, no, enough.
Especially if that's your means of survival.
Yeah.
Like that's
well, no, because now they get the payoff where they get the unemployment with a $600 a month $600 a week bonus.
Right. And
so you got everyone making not everyone, you got some people making more money than they did. It's like payoff money to stay home.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Some people will adopt that and just be fine with it.
Yeah. And that's the other thing. So when these businesses open back up, you're going to get some people that, I'm scared of the virus because they don't want to go back into work because they're making more money staying at home fucking chilling than they are.
Exactly what the restaurant owners said. They're like, we have a few people that don't want to come back.
And guess what? You know what you should do? At that point, you should be at every right to say, all right, then, see you later.
Yeah.
And I would tell unemployment, these people didn't want to come back even though we offered them the job back.
Yeah,
and they're refusing to work. So fuck you, fucking go fend for yourself.
Right. It's just, it's going to create, this isn't over by any means. It's just the next, the next, phase of it, if you will.
And then the ongoing kind of economic destruction, dude. We can't even fathom what's going to happen from all this. Like even in like, for example, in the motorcycle industry right now, like I used to get all my parts next day.
Yeah.
And then I could service bikes and get them in and out. Like, our service department here, I could get the parts, have my techs do the shit, and they get their shit out, and then bikes out. I got bikes sitting here now that just need one or two little things that have been sitting here for like 6 days because I'm waiting for parts.
Yeah.
Because some of the warehouses aren't full capacity.
Yeah, they're short staffed.
They're short staffed because people don't want to go back to work. UPS, like I talked to my UPS driver, I'm like, why is everything taking so long? He goes, well, you're not going to be able to say this, but say in June, we're usually at 30% capacity. And at Christmas, we're at like 60% capacity. Right now, we're at like 90% capacity because everyone's home and ordering shit because they don't want to go out and vice versa or whatever. So, so I don't even know where I was going with that, but that's just, everything's so fucked up right now. But things aren't just going to bounce back like that.
No, you basically, the world was turned off for 3+ months.
Yeah.
And again, even to kind of get back into car stuff, we were talking about electric cars. The production of batteries ceased.
Yeah.
So every bit of, whether it be Tesla or whomever was producing electric cars, has basically been slowed down.
Yeah.
On top of that, the engineering of better batteries, because one of the big things with electric cars is everybody harps on the range, and I'm sure that'll be similar to bikes. So the development, I'm sure that stopped to a certain extent because you don't have people in there doing the research and and product development to push things further. Essentially, the world kind of took a step. I mean, it took a step.
It was on pause for a few.
It's on pause, right? So everything is going to be delayed in damn near every aspect.
And all this thing, like, don't think anything's for free. Like that $1,200 stimulus check, that's a loan on your own money against your taxes for next year. So say you usually get $2,000 back and you get the $1,200, you're only getting $800 back.
Yeah.
Or say you owe $500, now you're going to owe $1,700 next year, next tax season. Now, maybe there's forgiveness between now and then. I doubt it, but you know what I mean? And just the government saying, oh, we're going to print trillions of dollars that's just going to devalue the dollar even more. Like there's going to be long-term shit to this that we can't even foresee right now.
Yeah, even with the virus gone. Say hypothetically it's gone in,
tomorrow,
next year, right? But it's long-term effects that literally change the world.
And on top of that, now it gives the government precedent. Now the next time there's like a bad fucking flu, they can just shut everything down because they know no one's going to say shit about it.
Right, right. The rebuttal.
Yeah. And now I know some people are going to be like, well, you want to, like, they're going to try and put me in that camp of, like the, I don't know, ultra right wing guys that are going around not wearing a mask protesting.
Right.
I'm not in that camp. I'm just trying to be from a common sense kind of standpoint.
It's all it comes down to.
And a personal freedom and accountability standpoint of things. Like, give me the choice. Like, I have nothing against people. You're scared and you want to wear a mask? Go ahead, dude.
Right.
Like, I'm not. So and I'll face the repercussions if I was wrong.
And again, that initial overview of, oh shit, this thing's bad.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it. I get why.
Sure, absolutely.
You close things down. I get it, but that didn't turn out to be the case.
No. And the best possible case is that this was a good fucking test to show where our weaknesses are. If there was a more serious,
right? For instance,
illness coming down.
When something happens, and oh shit, we should probably stop letting people in, and let's try to not let anybody go to New York or something. You know what I mean? Just like if we know that obviously New York was hit the hardest, so that's going to be a not a target area, but a hot spot. Like, let's make precautions to make sure that, or at least mitigate that, the next one.
Sure.
In some way.
What you're saying is like, if like the next time, say there's like for some reason there's a outbreak of something in Pensacola, Florida.
Yeah.
All right, let's try and keep it contained more in Pensacola, Florida, and not let it spread out.
And
is that what you mean?
Going from Pensacola to New York, let's probably stop those right now.
Okay.
Let's try to get ahead of that. That's okay. Like, at the very least, it may have taught us some ways to react.
Or just here's some shit that's hospitals should be fucking stockpiling and have on hand, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Or whatever, and it's like, those masks used to be $5 for 50 of them, and now it's $40, you know what I mean? And so there's definitely some major fucking profiteering going off on this shit too.
At one point I had to find like hand sanitizer and stuff like that for day job stuff. And I'd look and I'm like, what, 6 like 8-ounce bottles for $75. Like, no, we're not. I don't care. Like, no, we can't do that.
That's crazy. Yeah. But you're a scumbag if you're profiteering off that shit. But whatever. You got the right to do that. And if someone's dumb enough to pay it or desperate enough to pay it, I guess that's the way of the world there.
Right.
But what else, man? What else is you have? The Revival Motoring, the podcast and the magazine, but you also do a lot of video and photographic work. What else you got going on right now?
So the photo stuff goes obviously hand in hand with the magazine.
Yeah.
But another thing to help Revival grow is just like, obviously we want to have a YouTube presence. So there's one thing to record or video record the podcast. And that's one thing. And that kind of is pretty basic. It's just, people sitting around a table talking. Just another option for people to listen to if they prefer that way. But the other thing was to basically take the same interview / creative approach to making videos. So like just today I released another video, and that was I think my 6th or 7th one I've ever made. But that's something that now, because I've been shooting photos for 10 plus years now, like I'm all in on the video stuff because it's so cool. It's just so much fun to do. And you can make, you can take photos. Sure. That's a photo in time that can tell a story to a certain extent. But with video stuff, there's multiple shots, there's different effects and transitions that you can add, and also music, which, music goes hand in hand with how video stuff is. Like in many ways, the audio, I think, is probably just as important of the footage as the footage.
Even crazy shit that you don't think about, like color correction.
Oh yeah.
And the hue you put on something gives it a total different feeling.
A feel or story, or like if, shooting something outside, if it's warm, like a warm color feel, well, yeah, you get the vibe of summer, sunset, a warm location. But if it's cold, you can make it, you can kind of dictate the story.
Sure.
However way you want it to go, whether it be with color grading stuff or again, the music track, they all kind of play into one another. And now I'm just like, I'm stoked on shooting video stuff.
Sure.
I'm just like, it's just kind of a new different thing, but it's close enough to photo stuff where I'm familiar with it and I can play with it almost right off the bat.
Yeah, well, you get the eye for things, and now it's just kind of learning the tools and the tricks of things.
Yeah, it's just a different way to do it. Because essentially, I'm using a lot of my same camera gear, just putting it in video mode versus just clicking the shutter.
Dude, that's the craziest thing because the old Chopperhead DVDs, like when we started doing those, like I started that in like 2003, and I was using like a handheld camera, and now the shit like I use the last ones. Definitely volume 4. And then the shit we're using for Chopperhead TV, I'm using mostly an SLR.
Yep.
And it looks fucking cinematic sometimes.
Yeah,
and it's like, that's crazy. And I'm not even good at that shit. Like I do more of the, when you see like the drunk field, like reporting, that's recording, that's me. And then, my boy Alex or Ian or other guys that have helped me when you see the shit that looks real professional, they're usually doing that. But yeah, dude, like it's crazy, like how small the equipment is now too. Like,
oh yeah.
And, it's a lot more portable.
You can
do cool shit.
And it's literally, I can, if I wanted to kind of slim things down, I can just carry one backpack full of, a couple camera bodies and some lenses, and I'm good. And some audio stuff.
Yeah. And you could record your podcast right at the same time.
You could literally do, everything. And essentially that's kind of what I think the next phase of a revival is just more of everything, if you will. It's just, we're going to continue to do the magazine because that's a big priority. But then, the 1A is also the podcast itself. And then 1A2 is now the video stuff. It's just, I don't want to put all of our eggs in one basket and I want to do all that stuff the best that we possibly can. And that means it gets to the point of like, I'm just one person. So, and I have a day job and I have a family and I want to be, do the right thing and make them the most important, and everything just gets pulled. So now it's just like, all right, I need to recruit some help. So as John Stairs, he's helped me with the magazine stuff and layout stuff. So now it's just like, I can kind of focus on getting stuff shot, write the article, pass on to him and get the design done. Yeah. And just kind of,
and he's nasty with that. So
it just works out so good.
Yeah, and that's one of the things, man. And I struggle with that too. Is like, as things grow, you have to appropriate some things,
right,
in order to get it to the next level. Because unless you are independently wealthy, you don't have the time to do everything that a project needs to give it the proper attention.
And it's difficult because it's mine. You know what I mean? It's just like I want to make sure it's done
how you would
do it. A particular way, a right way. I want it, again, pushed out the quality. I want to have that quality from front to back.
It's important having a tight team
letting other people just kind of go with it takes a bit of a leap of faith to a certain extent, but at the same time, it's not like we're just hiring people off the street. It's I know John. I've known him for 10 plus years, so I trust whatever I give to him is going to be it's probably going to be better than what I pictured.
Yeah. But he knows the vision you have and is going to be respectful of that.
Exactly.
And do it in that way. Maybe add his own spin on it, but only if he thinks that it makes it kind of better.
And generally, I'll kind of give him a couple bullet points or ideas and just, he runs with it. And each time just, all right, yep, that's better than I pictured.
Yeah.
And then like my wife in particular she's basically taken over all the shipping and just like e-commerce stuff, which is great because like I like creating the stuff, but shipping, I'm kind of like, that takes up some time and I could be making something else or doing whatever. So she's taken that over and she's absolutely killed it because she's way more efficient on top of it. And, I mean, if she sees it and she's aware of an order that came in, that thing's done like in the first hour or whatever. She's just every single day checking stuff and just, pumping it out.
Yeah, man. That's like when I come into Chophead, my first hour or two is just shipping out orders. Yeah. And it's like, I would love to push that off to somebody else, man. Because like, it is what it is. It's important work, and it has to be done right.
Yeah,
You know, it could be.
No,
if you fuck that up, you can can cost you a lot of money. But
I mean, even because we ship worldwide, so some of these things are like $37 just to ship a magazine.
Yeah,
and it's
crazy.
Just like, holy shit, somebody is paying that, which I'm very thankful for. But at the same time, like, all right, yeah, we want to make sure we get this right, especially if it's an unfamiliar address in, Osaka, Japan. And I'm just like, I can't wrap my head around how the structure of their, addresses and streets and county, like it's
crazy,
different.
Dude. And I know you've run into this too. Like some of them, it's like, it won't even fit in the parameters of like making the shipping label. And they're like, you can only have 34 characters. I'm like, I don't even know where to cut this
What
up.
am I supposed to do? Right.
Because like, it's crazy too. Cause like our world everything's worldwide now. Like every day I am shipping something somewhere overseas, and we get orders from like Indonesia, fucking Vietnam, fucking, Australia, which is not, Australia is pretty, relatable, easy to read. But when you get these like crazy orders from like Southeast Asia or like, even some of the European countries, I'm like, I can't read any of that. I don't know. I hope I'm cutting this off in the right place and hope it gets to wherever it's supposed to go.
There's been a few times I've reached out to people, in the UK where I'm like, hey, how am I supposed to put this in here?
Yeah.
And it's always like, certainly at the beginning, like, I'm just arguing with a computer like, no, this is important. It needs to be this way so it gets there. What do you mean I can't finish this? Why is this wrong? This is how they wrote it. Yeah.
No, it's crazy, man. There's so much involved in passion projects that people don't even know. Like, like if you want to get stuff out, like I said, we talked about earlier, it's one thing if you're only dealing with digital stuff, you can take a picture and put it on. I can take a picture of you right now, put it on Instagram, and it goes out to all the Chopperheads followers, and then it goes around the world in like fucking seconds.
Yeah.
If you want to make something that is a physical product, there's a lot more that goes into it, and on every end of it, whether from the thinking about it to the planning of it to the creation of it to the manufacturing of it to the distribution of it. That is way more involved.
That's a perfect example because like the video we just put out today, I shot that video Friday. So within 4 days, I shot the video. In matter of fact, I basically took a day off because of it was the weekend. So we were out and about. So within, solid day and a half worth of work, that video was shot, produced, and out.
Yeah.
Whereas if I were to shoot that same vehicle for the magazine, I would have shot the pictures. That would have probably took, a day realistically between the shoot and then the edit. Then I'd have to write the article, design the article, and then it hangs tight because I'm waiting on all the other stuff to be finished. So,
and then you got to send it to the printer,
right?
And then it takes them a couple of weeks to manufacture it, and then they send it back to you, and then it's not going out to the world.
I'll get a proof within a day or 2, 3 days at most. And then I give my write off or sign off on, let's do this. And then about 2 weeks before I receive the magazines.
Now, proofs digital or proofs
hard copy?
They are. That's
cool.
Because
it's a good way to see where all the trimming and everything is to make sure everything's landed and bled correctly. Because with some stuff, we push to the edge, top, bottom, to the center. So you have to account for the gutter and all that sort of stuff.
Sure, man. And the funny thing too is like I could take a video of you right now and put it out live instantly to the world. It's done. Yeah. It's like there's so much technology now and there's so much we can do. It's almost kind of sometimes overwhelming. Like sometimes I'm like, we're working on a cool bike in the back, and I'm like, should I just take a picture? Is it cooler to do a picture, or should I walk around this and videotape it, or should I put this on like Instagram or Facebook and do a live video so I can answer questions about what the fuck do you do?
Right. What's the best? Right.
And then I end up doing nothing, and because someone comes in and I go do something else. You know what I mean? Oh, we're the worst at social media. I admit it. Like, but it's like there are some motorcycle shops that actually have someone on staff that does like social media stuff. I don't have that. You know what I mean? Yeah. But that's just bizarre to me, and I'm not condemning it or slamming it. It's just foreign to me, and I'm kind of old school and I'm dinosaur.
That's the thing. It's just another aspect of 2020 business.
Yeah, no, and I get it. And it's like crazy because you were talking about podcast stuff. I still haven't, I do at some point want to do a video element like you said you guys are delving into. I just don't want to do it shitty, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I also don't want to go too crazy with it. But I don't, like we were talking earlier, like I listen to podcasts when I'm on the road and in the truck. You don't usually really listen anywhere else. But I understand that there is like a whole contingent of people that like actually physically watch them.
Yeah, that'll be their TV essentially.
Yeah.
And they might break that podcast into 2 episodes if you will.
Sure, yeah.
But, they'll consume it an hour at a time and that's how they watch it.
Yeah. And that's just not me. So, but I don't think about that, but that's the shit that I should think about more. And that's why I should do video. But dude, like I said, we're standing at my cluttered counter at Chop Ahead with a bunch of motorcycle parts, magazines, fucking beers and vodka drinks and random shit. Like it's not a very beautiful video moment. You know what I mean?
It's unfortunately one of those things that you have to kind of weigh. All right, is this going to be worth my extra time? Because you're going to spend more time on it.
Sure,
and that's, again, like we talked about, that's the biggest. That's certainly one of the most difficult things for me nowadays is just the time.
Yeah.
Because I can, I know what I'm doing for the most part on any given day. Here's what I have to do, or whether it be work related stuff, get that all situated, get the family all set, and then, all right, everybody's in bed. Time for me to do my revival job and go from there.
Sure. So, thinking about revival motoring and some of the content you've done, has there been anything where you went into it and been totally like blown away or like unexpected, kind of like, oh, you knew this guy kind of did these cars or whatever, or this girl or whatever. And then you get there. Has there been anything that you've been really surprised by or like really kind of blown away by, like that you weren't expecting?
There's been a handful of people that we've talked to. And just when you find out more of their story, it's just like, holy shit. You're right. You truly are kind of taken back or blown away. There was a guy we spoke to, and again, not to harp on electric vehicles, but there was a guy that came to visit in studio who built a BMW E30. So an E30 is like an 80s BMW, if you will. And he put basically it's called the Tesla Beamer. And he put a full-on electric drivetrain in there and bought a Tesla motor and did everything from welding of the mounts, how to mount the motor, from all the cables to actually writing the code for how to make this thing operate. And he took it to the point where now he's at the level of getting real-time diagnostics on his phone and also matching, making the cluster from an E30 BMW work correctly with his electric setup.
Yeah.
So the RPMs are pretty equivalent. The speedometer is bang on. And this particular one was automatic. So he even made it so he can put it in, park, reverse, neutral, drive. It's just like, that's not stuff like that.
Yeah. That's next level. Like, I'm a guy that I love like panheads and shovel heads and old Triumphs and like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just trying to grasping that is like, that's, that's different. That's next level shit,
And that's the, that's the, like the future of, I forgot what we titled the episode. I think we called it electric hot rodding or something along those lines. And it's just like, that he is a glimpse, and his name's John Volk, matter of fact, if anybody wants to look him up, but he's a glimpse into potentially the future of like modifying cars. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's going to get to that point where, I don't know, we're all going to be gone someday and all these petrol engines are going to be gone as well, but there's going to be this, and there's hopefully going to be some form of, on the outside person that wants to mess with these things, not just take it as it is, just, no, I want this thing to go faster or do whatever or put this in there. And
there's something in human nature that wants to fuck with anything that comes
the
stuck.
tinker. Yeah.
The tinkering, like no one can leave well enough alone.
Yep.
And that's cool. Like to me, you know what I mean? Like that's not like a negative, trait,
Oh no, there's not, to me. Yeah. There's nothing negative about that.
No. And it's just progression, like, but I love that. That's just like a basic part of, I don't know. I'm sure it's pretty universal, but in America, we just, have there's like an interest in vehicles.
Yep.
And so we can't leave well enough alone. I know that might not be the same universally like in other places, but
I think there is to a certain extent.
Sure, yeah.
Just because
I'm just saying, if you live deep in the Congo, you might not be into customizing vehicles. That's all I mean, But like it's part of our culture inherent, like to customize cars, like and not leave it alone. Even if you're just a guy that goes in the dealer and is like, well, I really want this in red with this and that, and factory custom, that it's like an inherent kind of trait with us.
Just not to just not be okay with whatever's presented.
Yeah.
It's he was one person that blew me away. And there's just each time, even recently, we had a couple guys who were on work for a parts distribution company, and to hear their stories, because now this parts distribution company called FCP Euro, they field a motorsports team in a TC. It's called the TCR League. But to hear each of their stories of how they came to be there, and it was just like, well, this dude who's now technically the crew chief of said motorsports team, basically he got hired because he made a YouTube video 8 or 9 years ago. And the CEO of the company happened to see it and was like, oh, that's cool. I like what you're doing. Basically, he bought some parts from said company, made the video just to make it because he wanted to. And the video was almost like a how-to of, well, here's the part. I'm going to install this and do it yourself, if you will. CEO seen it and said, whoa, can you make a couple other videos like that? And that's how the relationship started. And shortly after, he went from, slinging Nissans to working at FCP Euro and then kind of going from there. And now he's the BMW parts catalog manager, but then, crew chief by night and for all the races. It's pretty crazy. It's just, those are the things that, once you get a long form conversation going, the stuff you learn or the stories people had, that's where I'm just like, holy shit, this is awesome. Yeah. And I hope other people enjoy listening to it. I think they do, because that's what it's about for us. It's just finding that stuff out.
Well, you're coming up on 100 episodes. If I think you would have known by now if people weren't interested in it,
Yeah, I probably, might have, who knows, might have given up around episode 50 if nobody was listening. But yeah, we're still here.
Yeah, and like I said, that's just a testament to like you guys are, what I found was even the couple of, I haven't seen every magazine like but the ones I've seen or have, like I read it, and even the shit that like I'm not a Porsche guy or Porsche, you know what I mean? Right. But I still read that stuff. You know what I mean? Cool and I was like, oh, that's fucking cool. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I can appreciate it.
It's awesome that you say that because that was Brett Sloan, and he was like yourself in the first magazine. He's coming on for the 100th episode.
Awesome.
Because I don't know how, but a couple of weeks ago I was like, oh man, it'd be good to have a kind of a callback, if you will. And I'm like, oh, let's see if Brett's around and have him come on in and come hang. So yeah, it's just one of those things where, the fact that I'm here now, where we talked 2 years ago, it just kind of like,
is it been that long? Is it really 2 years?
2 years. Yeah.
Fuck, that's crazy.
Because I think that was episode, I'd say 2 or 3, or it might've even been 3 or 4. I can't remember if I broke them up or not. But yeah, that was, we're pushing 2 years now.
That's crazy. Yeah. Time goes by like
it's nuts.
It just seems like every year time goes by faster than the year previous.
Oh, yeah. Certainly the older I get, it's just like, everything just mends together. And now especially, there's been times where I fucking wake up, no idea what it is, no idea what day it is. Like I've woken up on a Saturday at 7 before my alarm or whatever. I'm just like, oh, time to go to work because nothing makes sense anymore.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it is crazy. Like if I wasn't here every day, and the only thing that keeps me like knowing what day it is that on Saturdays I'm usually the only guy here at the shop,
right?
And so then I'm like, oh, this is the day I'm alone. All right, now it's a reset, and tomorrow I may come in or I might not come in. Sunday is kind of my optional day, or like if I can, I come in. If I can't, if I got other shit to do, like it's my catch up day for other shit. And then it's like, all right, and then the rest of the week, I don't know what day it is. Monday through Friday, I'm like, it's all the fucking...
It's just kind of a blur.
You just work. I get up, I work, I do shit, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like, I got to make sure I put the pot... Dude, last week, like you, and I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but there was I used to put the podcast up on Monday, and then I changed it to Wednesday for some reason. And I was freaking out because I thought it was Wednesday and I hadn't put it up and it was only Tuesday. And I was like fucking running around. I was like, oh, fuck, you know what I mean? And then it was like, someone was like, nah, it's only Tuesday. Don't worry about it.
I've done that a couple times because, again, we want to be as consistent as possible.
Sure.
And we aim to record every Wednesdays, but at times, we'll have to change it to a Monday or Tuesday or even on a weekend. Or even there's been some guests that we've had where we've recorded a podcast at like 4:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
Our time because
because they're on a different continent. Yeah.
In Germany I think it was Germany. So like there's been a couple times where I freaked out like, oh shit, I need to get this thing done. And I'm working on it, getting it done. I'm like, fuck, I got another day.
Yeah.
Like I can go, my night's over. I can save this and go, actually go to bed at 10:30 or 11 or whatever.
Yeah. Whatever you got to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. But that's the thing is it's all fucking like worth it. Like, but that's the thing, like people, and I'm not slamming, but you got to be willing to make sacrifices to do the shit you want to do.
Yes,
like, you know what I mean? And so, there's some people that just get through life doing their regular 9 to 5 and then coming home and fucking watching TV or do whatever they do. And then there's some people that work and then they come home and they fucking create even more or follow their passion or do something. And then, like you know what I mean? And then that's how I was with Chophead for fucking so long. Like I worked a regular job and then I'd do Chophead nights and weekends. Now I'm doing it, that in the tattoo shop. Well, I'm not doing the tattoo shop the last 3 months, but you know what I mean? Like that, doing that. And then, but then still doing shit like this, you know what I mean? Or doing the Chophead TV thing or whatever. And you got to just fucking make it work and keep moving,
It's the craziest thing. There's always that saying of if you follow your passion or find your passion, you'll never work a day in your life.
Yeah.
Every time I'm doing stuff like this, working on videos, photos, it's not work. Yeah. It's just like, I need to do this. I'm making this and I could spend the next 60 hours doing it and I'd be fine.
Yeah.
It's just like, that's what I want to do.
Sure.
Now, who knows how that pans out in the future? Maybe, I don't know, maybe my mindset would change if I was forced to do it all the time. But right now, I certainly don't feel like it.
I feel like the coolest, I don't know, but I feel like the coolest times with a business or a project is when, I don't know how to explain it, but like when it's going well, but you're not relying on it for income.
Yeah, because, I get what you're saying.
Because then you're not making decisions based on putting on money. Yeah. Putting food on the table or money. Yeah. And so you have the most freedom then. Until maybe you get to a point where something so mammoth that it's making money no matter what you do. Right. I've never been in I've never been in a position where in that type of position.
We can all hope to achieve that someday.
That's the goal, right? But it's like when, I always would, for example, do Chophead full time. And you know what? Yes, it's Monday, right?
Yes.
This is going on.
Yeah.
Exactly what we're talking about. Yesterday I came here and I worked here for most of the day by myself with the door shut. And it didn't feel like work. I had tunes going on.
Yep.
No one came in. I was making oil tanks and making some stuff for a sissy bar for a bike we're working on back there. And it was awesome. But on a regular day, I can go back and only do so much work because then customers are coming in. And I'm not slamming that. That's a vital part of the business. It's a different thing, but it feels more like work because I'm doing customer service on top of, and it's still and I got to ground myself sometimes. I'm not going to lie. Even today with with my guys in the back, I'm like, you know what? Shit gets stressful, but look, we're in a fucking motorcycle shop working on choppers. Yeah, sometimes we're doing shit we don't want to do on bikes that we don't really want to touch and whatever, but we're not fucking spreading tar on a roof in Phoenix on a July 110 degree day. You know what I mean? So you got to put stuff in perspective sometimes. And it's like, maybe fixing this bike that's been so neglected for the last 15 years isn't like the dream job. But at the end of the day, it's not bad.
It sucks to deal with this corrosion and these broken wires or whatever. Yes. But you're not a number somewhere.
Yes. Yeah. You're not punching in and, and then punching out and, being, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm not ever going to come down on anyone's job.
No. And that's right.
Yeah, but the long and short of it is like, sometimes like, we got to take in jobs as a shop that we might not want to take in because I got to keep the lights on.
Yeah.
Like, I wish it was just building choppers in the back.
Right. Right. Building whatever you wanted to.
And that's what the long about things. I'm not doing a woe is me, but sometimes I get jealous of like the guys I know that like make money doing something else. And then they're just building whatever the fuck they want in their spare time, in their home garage or like their hobby shop. And I'm like, that's the sweet point, like where you're not answering or beholden to anyone and you're just doing shit you want to do. Like, you know what I mean? Sometimes when you're doing shit for your living, you have to like, all right, let's put this speaker in this street glide, or whatever, you know what I mean? And
may not be as exciting as some other stuff.
But at the end of the day, also keep it in perspective. Is this dude going to be more stoked on his bike and be more excited to ride it? Yeah. Well, then yeah, that was cool. You know what I mean? Even if it's not something I would do to one of my own bikes, it's like, all right, if this guy's going to be more stoked on his bike, well, then fuck yeah.
And it's right. It's still, there's a form of happiness revolving around the passion.
Yeah, absolutely. So, talking about, the long and short of it is, there's always ups and downs to every situation, and the pros and cons. And, the trick is, keeping your perspective. And, to me, it's not like, as long as you're still doing the mission that you set out, that's what's important, and not altering it just to make money.
Right. To just become, to become a corporation.
To me, it's like, because sometimes people are like, oh, this guy's a sellout, this and that. And it's like, no, if he changed what he's doing just to make money, yes, that's a sellout. But if what he's doing just caught on and became lucrative, then that dude's just lucky. You know what I mean? Or that's just, or people dug what he's doing, or he's getting paid for his knowledge or creations. You're like, that's not selling out. Selling out is like, I hate this shit, but I'm going to do it just because I know this is going to make me more money.
Right. And there's certainly an evolution. People are going to change over the years. So there's going to be some sort of thing. And if you can better the project or passion or whatever it is by doing some of that stuff and improve it and make things better, okay, I get that.
Yeah.
It's just you don't want to ruin that initial mix.
Yeah.
You don't want to take away from that.
Yeah. No, exactly. And that it's all just trying to see if that bike came on audio. It's just all perspective and doing what you love. And if you're doing it because it's what you love doing, like that's ultimately what I would hope everybody is striving to do. And the other thing, certainly, I wish I would have figured this out earlier, but 10 years ago when I made that website, I just, for whatever reason, it finally clicked like, hey, you can do whatever you want to do. Like, if you want to learn how to do this, just go learn how to do it. Yeah.
It's okay to do that. It's like, don't look at stuff or other people and just go, oh, I can never do that. No, well, of course you can never do that if you don't try. But if you apply yourself and take the time, figure it out, learn it, then you're going to surprise yourself with what you can make happen.
Sure. Absolutely. It's like you said, you just got to find the will and the drive and the time and make the sacrifice to do it. Like, like no one's going to pay you to learn how to do certain shit. Like you got to take it upon yourself to take it on and figure it out. And it's going to cost you to learn how to do shit sometimes.
And even figuring out what that actually is. Cause that like with me, with the kids, that's going to be my biggest thing is, look, I don't care try to figure out what you want to do. Figure that out. That's tough. And it may not come for a long time.
Oh, like a lesson you'd impart onto your kids?
Yeah. Just try to teach them, like, if you really want to go to school, that's fine. But if you really want to be like the best welder, that's fine too.
Yeah.
You can do that. That's okay to do that.
Yeah.
The hardest part, I think, is figuring out, all right, what do I just have to, what can I not live without doing?
Yeah.
And then go from there. And maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't, but at the very least, you can at least, stay up late and work on it.
Yeah. And, it's like, I find it's always more fulfilling to do something productive than, obviously there's always time you just need to like veg out.
Yeah,
and whatever.
completely just zone, right. Especially nowadays, like zone out and just not pay attention to anything.
Yeah.
It's, one of those things is like, thankfully my wife kind of reminds me, hey, we should watch a show or something.
Yeah.
Because I'm usually like just trying to do whatever the next thing is, go from the next thing and do that. But it's good to just, 45 minutes of just watching something and
decompressing.
Forget everything else. It's important to do.
Absolutely, man. It's all about balance, really, when I say balance, I'm like, the bullshit, like time wasting should, it's in there, but it should be a very small amount. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. But dude, like what else is coming up? You got the 100th episode coming up. What's kind of the plan for I guess, what are the lessons you've learned from like this first 100 and what's kind of like the trajectory for the next installment? I don't want to say the next 100. That's like crazy to try and plan. But like, what have you taken from the first? 'Cause 100 episodes, that is like a significant body of work. So there must be some lessons you have from that and some different direction or focus you want to do with the next, segment of work that you guys do.
I think now it's just more or less like we know how to do it. You know what I mean? We know what to expect each time we show up every Wednesday. So now let's focus on getting bigger names. Like, some funny, dumb as it may be. I've just been tweeting Elon Musk. So I'm like, hey, come on my podcast. Hey, come on. To the point, it was almost daily. But it's just shit like that. Like, fuck it. I'm going to reach out to all these people. They answer, they don't.
Yeah.
But I'm going to sure try. So realistically, it's just more of that and just continuing to grow. Our studio is pretty much set up and good and comfortable now. So we can do that. And kind of the kicker to this stuff was that this year was going to be a fucking killer year because like you could in a way feel momentum building.
Yeah.
And we had a event at our space in Providence where we just decided to have a magazine release party for issue number 5. And I thought, it was dead of winter. It was February 26th. So we're talking dead of winter in New England. So not very car friendly, if you will.
Sure.
We figured,
and definitely not motorcycle friendly.
Yeah. We figured, all right, we'll do this. We'll put this thing on. It'll be cool. Maybe sell a couple magazines, see a few people. Maybe at most we get 20, 25 people. I'd say about 155, 160 people showed up and filled the entire lot. And like, we were sold out of magazines. We were sold out of everything. And that was in February. So that was just like, holy shit, this year is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
and again, that was February 26th. So 2 weeks later, hey, the world stopped.
It's fucking crazy how fast.
Yeah. Cause
everything changed
after that day. I had basically the magazines were all sold out by that day because the rest that were remaining were all pre-orders. So literally like everything was gone. So I'm like, well, our biggest show coming up is in April. So that gives us like a month and a half to sort out the next issue of the magazine. So, February 26th was a party. The 27th, there was like a plan in place of, all right, here's what we need to shoot. Here's what we need to get going. And then suddenly, grinding to a halt.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we're at now because, we were just going to be planning on that big show in April, the next big release party, the next thing. And we were going to have different shows or events or things like that. And just suddenly a whole bunch of uncertainty was thrown into the mix.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's,
it's still in the mix.
Right. Exactly. And
I want to know what the new normal is. Everyone's talking about the new fucking normal. I want to go back to the fucking old normal.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, you know, maybe you have some smarter plans in place if some other shit pops up. But what the fuck is this new normal? Are we ever going to go back to like fucking life before masks and social distancing and all that? Or is, you know, like that's what's crazy,
yeah.
you know?
It's again, it's so uncertain. We don't know.
I'm so sick of hearing politicians talk about it. I'm like, what do you fucking mean new normal? You probably don't even have an idea. You just know it's a buzzword you need to fucking say.
Exactly. And it's just like, again, for us, like that's how we make our revenue is, yes, online sales to a certain extent, but a big part of that is going out to shows, seeing people, talking to everybody, like setting up a booth, doing all that sort of stuff. And that's a gigantic aspect of our business, if you will. That's gone.
That's a gigantic kind of aspect. I tell people of anything, just being there.
Yeah.
Like you know, like it's one thing, like I said, you can watch a show on someone films a show and you can watch it on YouTube, but it's way different being there.
Yeah.
You know, and then especially as a business or like, you know, whatever it is, as a builder or a publication or like a podcast or whatever, like being someplace and like making real connections with people and face-to-face conversations or having a drink or whatever, like solidifies things way more than ever, like than, you know, just being an online entity can be.
It's a perfect example that, and now that you said that, it's not a lot, but a decent amount of our content would come from those events.
Sure.
You know, whether it be drifting events, racing events, shows that we took place in, drives that we went on, etc. That was content. So now it's just, yes, we still have content and we interview people and get people in and come up with topics and things like that. But there were times where we just sank a whole episode into the past weekend because it was awesome.
Yeah, sure.
You know, in
the
event, but it's like that, another portion of it is just gone.
That's how the Chophead DVDs were. Like, you know, I'd go out to a show and, you know, like, you know, in wherever, like in Texas or something. And then I would go interview people in Texas about their own builds. And then I would cover the show and then I maybe cover a shop in Texas, you know, and get a bunch of shit. That's how the Chophead TV thing is. I got like a whole episode on Mexico City, you know, in an event in Mexico City and then like different builders in Mexico City and like a shop, you know, and so it's the exact same thing.
It's prefaced on being there.
Yeah. And then not only that, but being there as Chophead, you know, and then meeting people face to face and then like them, you know, like, you know, even, you know, whether it's like a person that follows what you do and appreciates what you do, or if it's someone in the industry that manufactures parts or, you know, whatever, and like talking to people and being there, you know, it's way better. It's
a direct invite, essentially. You're showing up at that booth, like people, like you said, might recognize you or whatever, might be listeners or fans or readers or something. And it's just like hey, come talk to us.
Or even if not, someone walks up to your booth and flips through the magazine and is like, oh, these dudes are doing something cool.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, fuck yeah, let me buy one of those. Or like, what?
Exactly. Like, right. You never know who it's going to be in front of.
Yeah, exactly. And so, you know, all right, everyone listening, that's the key to life. Just show up and be there.
Be present. Yeah.
Participate in life, you know, and even an antisocial old prick like me, dude, like I will get out to things that are involved in the worlds that I'm involved in and be there, you know, and
it's very easy to do when, you know, a few short minutes into a conversation, you realize, oh shit, this person is into the same shit I am. It's very quickly to relate and just go, you know, stems from there.
Yeah, man. And that's how it's been for me, like my whole life, because I've always been into like outlier fucking shit. Like, you know, whether, like I said, not to beat a dead horse, but whether it was like punk rock shit or skateboarding back before it was cool or anything, like you would meet people that were involved in that world and you would instantly kind of click because of over a shared interest. And that's true with whatever you're into. Like,
anything.
Like I was never a Volkswagen guy, but I know there was a grip of fucking tight-knit Volkswagen motherfuckers, dude. Like I was
it all came from.
I was like, I don't know what it is, but I you know, that's cool. That's their thing. I respect it. I'm not into it, but you know, like a bunch of our friends were into that shit.
It's funny because it's literally all came from skateboarding and BMX riding.
Yeah.
That was first for me.
Yeah.
And then came like me being old enough to drive.
Yeah.
And then
or old enough to afford a car, you know.
And then like, oh shit, my friend, this is like, you just kind of navigate to what, or gravitate to what some of your other friends are into. And it was just like, oh, this shit's cool.
Yeah.
And it just stemmed from there.
Yeah. And you never know where shit's going to end up or what the next thing is, but you know, when you see it, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And it's good to, try to, again, with 100 episodes, try to step back and just be like, oh shit, this is cool. This is fun to do.
Yeah.
And obviously it's fun, but like, wow, we're doing something here.
Yeah. Well, I think we kind of got off track a little bit, not off track, but I think we went down a different thing about, whether like shows and this and that. And I agree, like for me in my industry with the motorcycle stuff, it's important to be there and be at shit. But, I think, how we got off that, I was asking you what's kind of next or what's in store for the next segment or the next chapter of Revival Motoring. Like, what do you guys, 100 shows is one chapter. What do you guys, is there anything different you want to focus on for the next segment or the next chapter?
Not necessarily for the Revival Motoring podcast itself.
Yep.
That's pretty much going to be myself, Chuck, Corey, interviewing people and guests and covering events and things like that, and covering main topics. So Revival itself, I think the next stage for that is basically to start a podcast network.
Yep.
I think that's kind of where things are going, and we've actually already kind of started that.
Sure.
A friend, Tom, of mine, just likes to travel, for instance, like Isle of Man. He went to the Isle of Man TT and did all that sort of stuff. So basically he's got a mic, a board, or a couple mics, a board, and is just out there. So we started a Talking Motorcycles podcast where he interviews just people from every realm of things on two wheels. Because as I said, with Revival, I wanted to cover everything, and the Revival Motoring podcast has its little niche, and we hint and talk about motorcycles to a certain extent at times, but that's not our wheelhouse, if you will.
Sure.
So with Tom, that's his wheelhouse. That's what he lives. That's what he is passionate about. And it just made sense to talk to him and say, hey, I heard you wanted to start a podcast. Well, if you do, let's kind of just say it's brought to you by Revival, but you do your thing and we'll host it on Libsyn for you and go from there.
That's cool.
So that's the plan. That's been going, and he's about 7 episodes in. So it's just kind of another aspect of what we're going to cover. And I think there's going to be a third one coming out to just have, different personalities on the network.
Yeah.
That's kind of the next thing, because the way I look at it is, okay, we're one show and we're getting these numbers. Well, if we can get another show and getting these numbers, and then another show and these numbers, all it means is just more people are seeing the whole thing. And almost, not that we want to cater to everyone, but at least have something that people are passionate about for each aspect in that world.
But it's all, like you said too, like you guys are just doing stuff that's based on cool shit with motors.
That's it. Yeah.
And you're going to do the Revival stuff that has its own slant.
Yep.
And it kind of is overarching, kind of touching everything. But then there's going to be people that are more specialized or more focused on one particular thing. And then you let them do their thing, but it still falls under the same umbrella.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's cool.
And it's just kind of a way to, again, not put all of our eggs in one basket, if you will.
Sure.
Just kind of spread the likelihood and ability to grow.
Absolutely, man. Fuck yeah. And how can people find you guys? Like, what's if someone's looking to get more involved or listen to the podcast or get a magazine?
You can go to revivalmotoring.com. That basically leads you to everything, because on there you'll see a little link for the podcast network. There's another little link for the blog. It just says read. There's a link for the store. And then ultimately, once you click that stuff, even for instance with the network, both of the shows that are currently up are right there with all the iTunes, Google, all those links and stuff.
Yep.
And then just go to YouTube, Revival Motoring, if you want to see that stuff. And then ultimately at Revival Motoring on Instagram.
And it's don't just go there. Like, hit subscribe, leave feedback.
Yes, please do.
Leave feedback, but subscribing is important. Even if you can't listen to every episode, just at least subscribe, and then, listen to what you can and leave feedback, because that stuff's important, man, because it gets, when people see like reviews and feedback and shares and stuff, it just raises the profile and gets things out to more people. And we're involved in like subcultures, and word of mouth is the biggest kind of way we spread messages, and the biggest way we all grow, and the more people do that, the more shit gets out, and don't be protective of your little things, like share it, man.
And it's cool because now we have our space in East Providence, and I've built basically, we have the podcast studio, but I'm also building / kind of manipulating a set, if you will, where I built a huge, anybody who's out there familiar with the photo and video equipment, a huge softbox, one that basically is powered by 12 lights that I put up in the rafters essentially, and put a big kind of softbox around that to basically properly light whatever we put underneath there.
Sure.
And that way I do all the filming, or most of the filming of vehicles there. And then there's another little set built to the side with a couch and some lights and stuff like that to do the filming of the interviews. But it's a perfect spot, and we want to tie in more motorcycle stuff. So like stuff under these lights looks awesome. So that's probably another, stage of where things are at once we get to the new normal.
Once people can move about freely again and whatnot. But yeah, man, is there anything else that we haven't touched on that you think is important? As always with the podcast, we went all over the place and we had a lot of fun, but is there anything I didn't touch on?
I think we covered pretty much all of it. Yeah. It's just go check out Revival, and hopefully you see some stuff that you like.
Well, I think most people that are listening to this would be of a mindset where I think it would be a good overlap, and people would appreciate it. So go fucking check out revivalmotoring.com and listen to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts, and make sure buy at least one magazine. Like you will not regret holding a physical copy of this magazine. It's very, very impressive.
So one of the things that is difficult, like right now we're sold out.
Yeah.
So it's like, we have a magazine, except I don't have any to sell.
Yeah. Well,
but there's other merch and even stickers and stuff up there.
Subscribe so that you can get the next one.
And truly, subscribing, whether it be YouTube or on any podcast player, that's the most important thing.
Well, but do you offer
so you see it.
magazine subscriptions too? Like,
no, not yet. Because that's again on that same scale of trying to weigh, because it costs a decent amount just to produce the thing. Yeah. So trying to efficiently sell a subscription, pay for shipping, and then still, kind of make money to make other stuff at the same time. It's like, fuck, I haven't found that happy medium.
There's a balance,
yet. So maybe once we get to a certain amount where I do have, dare I say, extra copies, all right, then it kind of makes sense to do so.
Sure. Or, just, when you see pre-orders for a magazine, fucking jump on it.
Yeah.
So they know how many to make, what I mean? It's important.
We try to promote that for at least 2 weeks before we go to print. Like once the magazine's done, and I have basically or a little before I have a proof in hand, that's when I put the pre-order up, just to give us a good, understanding of, all right, how many do we need to make this time? Yeah.
Well, you heard the effort and passion that goes into this, and you won't be disappointed if you grab one of those. So make sure you check it out. I definitely want to thank everyone for listening today. I got to do a couple of commercials here. Well, I don't even like to call it commercials, because these are just things that are amongst friends. You know what I mean? So a couple of what would you call it? Messages or something. I don't even know what the right word would be. I guess it is a commercial, but it's a commercial from the sponsors of this podcast, who are friends. It's not like I don't have any corporate sponsors. So
the people that help make this happen.
Sure. Exactly. Yeah. So listen to some words, and, I definitely want to help promote people that help promote me. And it's not even that I'm only promoting them because they're promoting me. These are people involved in worlds that I'm involved in, and definitely, help me out with what we do. And these are people that I've supported anyway before I was even involved with them on any kind of trading promotional deals or whatever, you know what I mean? But, definitely, if you haven't ever checked out Chop Cult, you should check out Chop Cult. What is Chop Cult? If you don't know what Chop Cult is and you listen to this podcast, then I don't know where you've been, but get caught up quick. chopcult.com. Now, there are an old school style message board. They have weekly blog features. They have a classified section. They have, it's just a big forum, but it's also a blog, and it's also a classified section, and it's also like a newsletter, and it's also an event promotion page. Anything to do with motorcycling or choppers or whatever, it's a whole social network dedicated to that. That makes sense, right? You know what I mean? So on top of it, it's free. So it doesn't cost you anything to go there. So chopcult.com is the main landing page, but you can also follow them on all the social medias, including Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, all that stuff. Simply at Chopcult. You might also want to check out my boys, Big C and Dirty Mick. They have a company called Omerta. Omerta is a t-shirt company. Well, let me take that back. A streetwear company, but they are, they got street cred for days. Like, these dudes have been involved in these worlds for a long time, and it's a clothing company, not just a t-shirt company. But I just have I like the t-shirts. You know what I mean? I don't usually buy the jackets or anything, but I rock the t-shirts regularly. You might have seen shirts that say like, no one likes a tattletale for the kids, or stop glorifying rats or intimidate all witnesses or whatever. If you know what omerta means, you'll kind of get the gist of where this company's going. If you don't know what it is, you have Google and you have all the world's knowledge in your hand on your phone, and you can look it up. Or hint, code of silence. So omertamia.com, check them out. Or on Instagram or Facebook at Omertamia, OMERTAMIA. They have all kinds of shit that is cool, and a lot of their stuff is made in the USA. So the shirts they use or whatever is all made in the USA. They got shirts, they got socks, they got jackets, they got even pomade if you want to slick your hair back. You know what I mean? If you use the code Big Truth at checkout, you get 20% off your order. So that's a pretty significant amount, especially given retail. That's pretty much most of their profit. So, go to Omertamia, find some cool shit you like. When you go to checkout, use the code Big Truth, you get 20% off your order. We'll do a little bit of math there. That means if you order $100 worth of shit, you're only going to pay $80. That means you got $20 to do some other shit with, or even buy more shit, and then you'll save more 20% on that, and it's like a never-ending cycle of saving fucking money. So check it out. Also, you might want to check out Pitchfork. Pitchfork is a clothing company and record label based out of New York. My boy Warren runs that, and they put out a lot of clothing. You've probably seen it through the years. They've been a staple in the hardcore and punk rock scene for decades. And then also he has a record label where they put out a collection of split 7 inches, which will have an East Coast band on one side and a West Coast band on the other. Past 7 inches include like Rancid on one side and Murphy's Law on the other, or Sick of It All on one side, The Eulogy on the other. The newest one is No Redeeming Social Value with Thug Riot on the other. Bricktop was the band that all the guys some of the guys from Thug Riot were in, and I did stuff with before they were in Thug Riot. So check out Bricktop and Thug Riot. So check them out at pitchforkny.com. Again, that's on pitchforkny.com or on Instagram. On the social medias, just at pitchforkny. Also, help me out. Check out chopahead.com. That's the website for my shop. We're a full-service motorcycle shop specializing in Harley, vintage and modern. We do anything from an oil change to a full custom chopper build. We do speed work. We do engine rebuilds. We do whatever you need, man. You need to put an audio system in your Street Glide. We do that. You want to do whatever you want, we'll do it. And we also have a showroom and a parts counter, and we sell merchandise online and at the shop. There's a lot of companies out there involved in motorcycles that are lifestyle companies. We are the fucking lifestyle. So come by. It's a full service shop. And you need some riding gear, we have it in store, or you can order online. At www.chopahead.com, we manufacture all of our T-shirts are on American-made Bayside heavy-duty Bayside tees. We put our money where our mouth is. They cost us more money to make, and our T-shirts are the same price or cheaper than a lot of other companies you see out there. Our gloves are also manufactured in the U.S. We make the Kevlar-lined deerskin leather Defender gloves, which help greatly if you happen to fall or get in a knife fight or something. But yeah, so check us out, www.chopahead.com. Also, check out the podcast website, www.bigtruthpodcast.com. Wicked simple. We have all the episodes up there, more information about the show. We have an area if you felt inclined to donate, because that's the only way we make income. We don't have any commercial sponsors like where we're generating revenue at this time, and so it's just there's been a lot of people who have generously donated, and that's helped keep us going with the hosting costs and cost of equipment and whatnot. But yeah, www.bigtruthpodcast.com. I think that's everything. I don't know. You know what? These are strange times. There's a lot of shit going on. So just be cool. Don't be a dick. Live well. Look out for everyone around you. Simple shit, man.
Thanks for having me, man.
Dude, thank you. And thank you for sticking around while I stumbled my way through these commercial announcements. Again, yeah, check us out. Check out Revival Motoring anywhere where you get podcasts. And if you want a magazine, you got to get it. You got to act quick and get it when there's a pre-order going on, unless you see him happen to see him at a show. But we don't know if there's going to be any shows this year.
There's still hope. Hopefully
there's
soon.
still hope,
I don't know.
Dude. Me and Packer is still trying to figure out what's going on with Full Speed Ahead.
Right.
We are operating as if it's going to happen, but we just know that venues could pull the plug at any time, given. Yep. Whatever the environment or climate is for large gatherings. So, plan on, check us out, fullspeedaheadshow.com or on Instagram and Facebook at Full Speed Ahead Show. We'll keep you up to date, but that is a big, New England hot rod and motorcycle show, vintage and custom motorcycles. It's always a good time. So hopefully we can put it on. If for some reason, if one of our venues kind of bows out, we have the venues confirmed, but with the caveat that, they might not be doing anything this summer.
Right. There's unfortunately, no guarantee.
There's no guarantee. So I'm just trying to be as 100% upfront with you as I can. Yeah. But if for some reason, if we can't utilize one of the venues this year, it would only be for this year. We will do something else, either here at Chopperhead or maybe at the Revival headquarters.
Enough space.
He's got enough space. But yeah, we will keep you in tune. Something will happen. And even if we have to go old school outlaw underground style, we will do that. Because, we're going to have a party this year no matter what. Because, what our worlds are worth celebrating and having a good time and having some drinks and looking at cool shit with motors, Yep. But yeah, I want to thank you for listening. As always, if you could help me out by hitting the subscribe button and leaving some feedback, and do that for Revival Motoring as well. All right, have a good one. That's it.